Hey guys, Alucard here, also known as Wes Keldner's biggest fan. And today's video is a special one. This is the entire debate that I had recently against RapidMain about TCM's major issues and his proposed changes in his letter to the devs. We talk about important issues like lobby dodging, stun immunity, if the game is victim or family-sided, as well as maybe if I was a jerk in my last video. At one point, we also examined some very interesting dictionary definitions to support our claims. I hope you guys enjoy watching, and feel free to leave a comment below on how you might feel after hearing both sides. So, what would you want to start debating? Like, how would you want to start this?
I feel like it's up to you since you kind of invited the debating. It's your choice.
Okay, how about we start with the lobby dodging?
Yeah, what about it? What do you,
Well,
you I already know you disagree with me.
do you still think it's a good idea to have multiple duplicate characters like two Lelands?
Well, see, the issue is that, and I'll say this before I answer the question. You disagree with me, like, very much so in the video. The issue is that you're not looking at how I'm writing it, okay? It's an intro saying, okay, why are people dodging? People dodge because they want a certain character. Okay. How do we fix said problem where people want to play a character that they can't? Why not allow duplicate characters? It's a choice. It's a suggestion. It's not a change that needs to come to the game, but it's a possibility they could implement. And I know, like, it's not the best solution, but it's a suggestion. That's why I think in the video I watched, when you looked over the duplicate characters, you kind of like used that to, like, I'll be frank, you used a lot of things you vehemently disagreed with, and you just discredit the rest of the shit I say, right? Um, and when it comes to lobby dodging, I think the best solution personally is, one, obviously they need to fix the backfill issue, which they are in
I agree.
process of doing that. Aside from that, I think rematch server browser, I think that would go very well. I don't see any issue with being able to rematch people. I think it would make for funnier moments, more interesting games. And I think as long as backfill worked, you wouldn't need the entire lobby to rematch. It'd be kind of like the old Call of Duty days where you would be in a lobby for a few hours with the same people because they just want to keep going against each other. Um, Yeah, so that's what I think about it. If
So,
you wanna disagree with me on that, that's
well,
fine.
do you still think that, like, being, let's say, two Lelands would be a good idea? Like, do you still think that?
Well, again, I don't know how it's gonna be in practice. That's why it's a suggestion. Like, again, when they talked about the removing the Leatherface requirement, I thought it was a terrible idea. I thought, them also saying, "Well, we're not gonna impact the barricade spawn rate because we'll show you guys why it's such a bad idea. You'll want a Leatherface." And it was a very petty way that they said that, being, "We'll show you guys. We'll show you guys how much you'll need a Leatherface." And I thought that was a really fucking stupid thing to say. You shouldn't make a patch based off "I told you so." It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But the Leatherface requirement being removed became a very good thing. And I don't even think barricades matter that much anymore if you don't have a Leatherface. So just because a suggestion may sound terrible on paper doesn't mean it's going to be implemented in the worst possible way.
Well, I think the barricades are a problem. I have a link actually I can give you real quick. Hold on. You don't have to like watch if you don't want, but just if you wanted
Why do you
to.
think the barricades are still a
Well,
problem?
because this is an example of somebody being in an infinite outside gas station where there's literally two barricades and nobody can get them. They can hold the game hostage as long as they want. And like
Well,
that
if
kind
they're
of
running
soft
something like
locking. One,
Sanguine Shadow, yeah, they could probably hostage as
yes,
long as they can.
yes,
But,
yes.
that's a very extremely niche situation. And I agree. That was a concern that I thought of too, where barricades could spawn where somebody could sit. And yeah, that sucks. But they can also just make it so the RNG doesn't, like, allow those certain scenarios. Make it so
Well,
any
I
RNG.
agree. They should have changed that. Yes, the fact that this can happen means that the Leatherface requirement, like not having it, I think it's worse for casual players who don't know what they're doing because they could get soft locked if they pick like Cook,
Well,
Nancy, Johnny,
that's
for
just
example.
unfortunately, that's just a consequence of their actions. If they choose, like, I understand casual players won't understand like certain requirements or how the game works, but that's any game. Like when you learn a game, you're going to be shit for a while. Like that's just how it is. If you get soft lock, then it happens. Like it happens. You're not going to know exactly what to do the moment you boot up the game. And again, they shouldn't RNG allow. The RNG should not allow for uh, two barricades on each sides or them to be enclosed by barricades when nobody can get in. Obviously, that shouldn't happen. But if you choose Leatherface and you're saying, well, I can't catch anybody because barricades are going on, you're either playing incorrectly or you're receiving the consequences of your actions of not picking Leatherface. If you're playing without a Leatherface comp and you're chasing in basement, you are genuinely throwing. You should not, in a single regard, be chasing in basement if you do not have a Leatherface. It would make no sense. You need to be objective controlling with family members, not be chasing in basement because they can just go through gaps and infinite you down there while the rest of the team does work.
Well, I agree. That's why I think that them not letting you have a Leatherface requirement ends up hurting people more. Like, it's nice to have that freedom. I think we should ultimately have that freedom. But because they didn't change anything else for the map, like the barricades, like you're saying, I feel like it's actually is a bad idea. Like, I thought it could be a good idea too, but I thought they would change something else, not just say, hey, you don't need Leatherface.
That's
you can
the
start
freedom
the
of
lobby.
choice. That's the freedom of choice. It's our own power. We can choose to be at a disadvantage, and that's just how it is. I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad game design.
You don't think it's because is it even them choosing it though? What if they don't know better? I mean, a lot of you said you make an argument that the average player, casual players, they're not going to know better a lot.
I understand, but again, if you are casual and you are misunderstanding your role in a certain game and you play badly because of that misunderstanding, more time spent into that game is going to allow you to achieve that understanding. You're not going to understand everything to like the maximum degree within the first few games that you play. I remember when I played the beta, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing for like 4 hours. I didn't understand the layout of any of the basement. I didn't understand even how to get to any of the exits on Family House. I was completely clueless. And I was like, are people really having fun right now? I don't understand what I'm doing. I'm shit at this game. And then when I understood like how to actually navigate around the map, and it's like, okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. But if we constantly lay out and make people's jobs easier, right? They're not learning. They're not like getting better against better opponents. They're just like, well, the developers just gave this one to me, right? It doesn't really make much sense in that game. In game design, that doesn't make sense.
This is why I don't understand. I think it's not bad game design though, because when you allow a comp like Cook, let's say Cook Nancy Johnny on Family House, if they got a barricade upstairs that blocks the luggage fuse box, there's literally no way to defend it from those three characters. Like, they have no way to stop someone once they run up and just jump over the barricade.
Yeah, and they can add. The thing is, just because I say that like I think it's not bad game design, doesn't mean every single niche point that I may not be bringing up at that exact moment is something I agree with, right? Like, of course, maybe they should add like another way to get into a fuse box location of Family House. Yeah, that's an option. The thing is, and a big misunderstanding with your video is that you took everything I said as a suggestion and you characterized it in your mind that I am right, everyone else is wrong. As in me saying that everybody else is wrong. That what?
I said I usually am.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me.
Oh, okay.
Also, I'm gonna be completely honest. If you want this to be productive,
I do.
I want that. No, listen. I'll let you speak. But if you want this to be productive, if you're gonna like snipe at everything I say and like try to get me mad or anything, you'll be sorely disappointed to figure out I'm not gonna get mad during this debate. And you making these comments, it's not really. I'm gonna be real with you. All right. No offense, it's not backing up your points. So going, I usually am right. Yeah, you may think that's funny, but like, that's cool and all. You can think that's funny. You're not saying anything of substance when you say that. You feel me?
Yeah, I'd like to get back to the debate.
Well, you're the one who took it off track. That's my point.
Okay, well, what about the stun resistance? Do you still think that it should be 3 seconds max instead of 10, like the stun
Yes.
immunity after you get stun?
No,
Okay,
I still believe that.
so here's an example. How would you ever turn off the valve, which takes at least 5 to 6 seconds to turn off if Danny doesn't just
Well,
win the game?
you can use two family players to protect it. And hey, I believe that it should be 3 seconds, but the devs say, you know what? Because of the valve time, we're going to make it 5 seconds. That's fine too. I just think it should be reduced in some way, shape, or form.
But two family members could have been used on the slaughterhouse basement back when they had the valves in the basement, and people would constantly escape, chain stun you. And even if you brought two down there, that means three escape somewhere else. Because like you can't, one person that's left up there can't watch the other exits. You know, it's.
Well, then how would you suggest we change valve? How would you suggest we change stun?
I mean, well, I don't think we should. I think 10 seconds is good. I don't think I think three would never work
You
because of that.
think 10 seconds is perfect? You think it should not be changed at all?
For now, yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's reasonable. I don't think there's any reason to change it to be lower than that.
I think it's a little much. I think it's a little much. I think stun immunity. Of course, I wasn't a big fan of stun immunity, and you know, you liked. You said that I enjoyed stun locking, and you're right. I did enjoy stun locking. I very much so did. I thought it was hilarious if somebody was shit talking me in the lobby or being like racist or anything, or even just for fun. Like I would be stun locking somebody because we're not really taking the game seriously. And in the end game chat, I'd be like, "You motherfucker, I'm gonna get you again," and it would be really silly. I enjoyed it. Do I think it was good that they removed it? Absolutely. I think it was fantastic they removed it. Because obviously, yeah, that probably is bad game design. But not everybody's gonna when they're developing the game, they're not gonna look for the ideas that a dumbass like me would come up with, where I'm like, let me find some like stupid ass mechanic to just use over and over because it's funny looking. The animation for Bubba falling is like the most hysterical thing ever to me. It's the same way how I enjoy Head On and Flashbang most of the time in Dead by Daylight. I enjoy the more simplistic, casual nature of the game where I don't need to win. A majority of my games on TCM are me not escaping because I would rather goof off. I don't care about escaping. I did my try hard routine when the game came out, and I figured out how the best way to play, and I just implement that in my casual playstyle.
Okay, but do you see why 3 seconds can't work for stuff like that? Like you can't even destroy any object, or you're gonna get chain stunned on it. Like
that's why it's a suggestion. Like when it comes to design
but it's
and
not a good
suggestions.
suggestion. I'm saying like that because of this.
Okay,
Like,
well let me finish. When you're designing things and you're asking the community for suggestions, and as a community as a whole is like trying to make the game better, right? That's why we do compromise, right? You can make a suggestion. Oh, well, that's maybe a little bit too far, or maybe that's not enough. Let's compromise. Let's meet in the middle, right? But it seems like you don't really want to meet in the middle. And I think compromise is the best when it comes to game design. Like, especially because you can experiment with them. It's not just because you implement a change does not mean you are like signing into law that like it's going to be permanent and that you'll never change it again. You can always like backtrack, be like, all right, we got data, we tested this out, and you know what? We think we're gonna tone this down or we're gonna amp it up more. It's not necessarily permanent.
well, I would agree somewhat with that. How it's not permanent. You could change. You could try it and change it. But the thing is, even something like as broken as fucking Danny, which is not like should I feel like should have been kill switch as instant study shit. But even though like that's still taking this long for them to try to address, like even something completely utterly broken, like even the valves in the basement slaughterhouse, all this stuff took a while for them. Like they can't seem to make these rapid changes back and forth. So if they make a bad
Well, I
change,
agree,
we
they
might be
need to
we might be
update
stuck
more.
with it. Yeah, well, I agree too. I mean, I just think we'd be stuck with a bad decision though. Like maybe they can't just try it out like that because they can't rapidly, you know what I mean, make it better if it was bad when they take this long just to even attempt to address Danny.
Well, yeah, I agree that they're taking a while, but like just because they're taking a while doesn't mean like it's not going to be fixed. I feel like that might be a little bit too pessimistic to think about. Like when a character like Danny comes out, right? He's paid to win. Um,
Yes.
it would be silly from a game dev perspective to release a paid for character that is bad and dog shit because people want incentive to play said character. So what do? They make him at least good, at the bare minimum, good, but usually they want to make them very strong. And we see this shit with releases in many games like Overwatch, Ramacha when he came out, Alari when she came out, Kiriko, all the new characters. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that game at all. But all the new characters when they came out, they were very strong. And another big reason why they were very strong is because people didn't understand the ins and outs of them. There are much more meta, small types, micro gaming when it comes to certain characters, and a lot of synergy when it comes to pairing them with other characters on the team and how they format like what's the word for it? Routing, scouting. No, I'm fucking pathing. I'm not getting the right word. It'll come to me. But that's my point is that not everybody's gonna know on release what they're doing or how to counter it, you know?
Okay, so let's switch a little then. Let's talk about, you say competitive balancing, right? Would it be fair to say you think that it's bad if they try to balance it to be more
No.
competitive? Like you want it to be more casual?
And I know you said in your video that you claimed that I said that competitive balancing was bad. I don't think it's bad. But saying that it's casual, but then literally making competitive balancing decisions is weird. I think anybody would agree with that. I think it's weird to say, guys, we're going to stay casual, but then make literal competitive style balance. And the thing is, like, I would love to hear more of your suggestions because the thing is, with the video, I'm gonna be real with you. That video was bad, man. It was not
Oh,
good.
thanks. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like it's not. It was not good. And the reason why is because like somebody told me, hey, you hear this guy? He made a video reacting to your changes. I'm like, sure, I'm cool to listen to more opinions. I love to hear more suggestions. And apparently, this guy is part of the TCM community. I'm be down to listen to his opinion. Um, but the entire tone of the video was this arrogance of let's take down RapidMain and all of his ideas are
It
shit.
wasn't
Not
about
why
taking me
they're shit.
down. I'm just afraid the devs will do some of that stuff, and I'm afraid it'd be really bad for the
Well,
game if they
then
did.
offer your own suggestions and
Well, I have.
explain why you think they're bad.
Well, I can explain. I mean, I do have some suggestions. I mean, I have other
But you didn't
videos.
give them in the video.
Well, in that video, I didn't. But I've said
Exactly.
before,
That's you see.
so I have an example of a suggestion. So
Okay,
one
let's
thing,
hear it.
so like when a new character comes out, like Nancy and Danny, the only way to level them up is to play on them. And I said that one way you could help a little bit with the lobby dodging for that is if you could save experience that you get on any character and use it for any other character. Like, so if you play as Leatherface, you could bank some experience, put that on any victim, other perks, whatever. You don't have to actually be leveling that character, and perks that could have at least alleviated a little bit of the rush to level them up, because the only way you can level them up is playing as them, so you're kind of forced to dodge if you want to level up the character. That was one suggestion. It's not a permanent solution, obviously, because once everyone gets it leveled up, then it doesn't do anything anymore, but that was, one suggestion.
That's not a bad solution. That's not a bad suggestion at all, but I understand why they wouldn't implement that because they want people to grind certain characters to make them good. It's kind of like an MMO. The more you play a certain character, the more you um, utilize them, their abilities, their attributes, the better they become. I understand why they wouldn't implement it, but that's not a bad suggestion for quality of life. But the issue with your video is that I know you said
like the
like
suggestion?
following it, and you didn't watch my reaction on stream, which I thought was a little
No,
interesting.
I did.
Because,
I
like,
watched a little bit of it. I did. I just didn't watch it
no,
on my
you didn't.
stream. Well, not on my stream. I
You
didn't.
didn't, no,
Well,
you didn't watch it.
I didn't want to
watch it on
restream it without your permission. That's why.
Well, come on. I feel like that's kind of a cop out.
It's true.
I feel like that's a cop out. You know how fair use works in this day and age.
Yeah, but people can be really petty. I've had experiences where they try to get you for anything.
Yeah, and I literally said in my video reacting to you where you made a interesting description title saying, "Oh, I think RapidMain's so cool, but his ideas are shit." I verbatim said
I
when
didn't
I
say that.
looked
I
at
said he's a
that,
good streamer.
if you're saying this because I'm paraphrasing myself, but if you're saying this because you think I'm gonna copy strike you, you're wasting your breath because I don't care that much. So I feel like that's a little bit of a cop out. If you watch the video if you watch my reaction, you would know exactly how I feel about that. So I feel like it is a little bit of a cop out to say, well, I didn't want to watch it on stream because of fair
Well,
use.
why does it matter if I watched it on my stream or not? I still watched it.
Because you refuted it later. Then the reason why it's bad is because you refuted everything I said in my reaction without reacting to it. You don't show your chat, you don't show your community, you don't show anybody why my response is refutable and wrong. You just say, you brush it off and you say, well, it's wrong. But
Well,
like that's not really how debating and like
one example was
reacting
well,
works.
okay, I can go into that. One example was you said that they keep accidentally misunderstanding your words. The loadout thing about which I believe I'm getting
And
right. You want different loadouts. You know, like you can go left
yes,
side of the skill tree, right side of the skill tree. If you pick one, like wireframe for one loadout, you know, Venom for the other
yes.
loadout. And Matt Chacha quote said, you know, there is no misunderstanding. So how do you still say it's a misunderstanding? That's what I don't understand. He
Well,
said first off, there's no misunderstanding, word for word.
okay. So when they say there's no misunderstanding, and I've watched the dev streams where they talk about this very thing, the way they describe it is they say, we don't want you to have jack of all trades. We want you to have to choose between pros and cons, which is the literal argument of saying, like, we don't want you to access the entire tree.
Yeah, but he says
But
here you
accessing
cannot
the,
go into a boss battle and swap to a
let me
whole different
finish.
character path.
Well, let me finish. The thing is, and even if, let's say that they do actually understand it. I still don't believe they don't, and I don't believe they will because like the way the way they've articulated it in streams and posts is that they have literally said they don't want you to have a jack of all trades. I shouldn't have, for example, I'm not looking at the trees in front of me right now, but um, you know, let's say Scout is on the far end of one side and Hysterical Strength is on the far other. You shouldn't be able to have both. But we're not asking for both. We're just asking to not have to respec for 10 minutes, you know? And even if they fully understand what we're asking and they just don't want to do it, why are we even arguing about it?
Okay,
Because we
well,
both hold on,
I
let me finish.
okay,
Let me finish.
okay,
I'll
sorry,
let you
okay,
I'll let
okay,
you talk.
okay,
I'll let you
okay,
talk.
okay, okay.
When why is it even an arguable point? It doesn't matter because we both agree that we should have separate loadouts. At that point, it literally is just arguing semantics to arguing semantics, and it truly does not matter.
Okay, so I just linked to you too. I don't know if you have it on hand, but he does say in like the third mini paragraph, it's not just about being able to have them in the same loadout, but even just being able to have them all available with a loadout swap in the lobby. So that sounds to
Okay.
me like he understands it's not just putting them all together.
What?
He doesn't want you to
But
be able
like
to
I
swap in
said,
the lobby.
but we've just talked about this. Okay, you're going back to it when I say why does it matter if we both agree?
Because you said it's a misunderstanding and it's not. That's why.
I literally just explained why I believe personally
But it doesn't matter
it
what you
is a
believe. He
misunderstanding.
says it's not and describes it that it's not.
Okay, but you're trying to harp on this one thing, and I'm telling you what I believe. Okay, I gave you my reasons why I believe it. All right, and even if I'm wrong, even if the devs fully understand it, like I said, it is a pointless argument because we both agree. Why are we fighting over something that we agree upon together?
Well,
Genuinely.
only thing I was arguing is that because you were saying something that wasn't true.
You're
Like,
arguing semantics is the issue. That's the issue. You're arguing semantics. You want to agree with me? No, sorry. You're agreeing with me, but you are choosing to disagree. You want to find disagreements instead of getting common ground, which is I won't lie. It is like very like unproductive when you're talking like suggestions or balance. Like if you're just looking for something to disagree with, well then you're not going to agree. You're not trying to agree. I mean, it came with you know, like I wrote down even like some things of why the video like was bad, like pretty bad in my opinion. You know, like the title, for example, and the
uh,
thumbnail contained roasting RapidMain suggestions.
I
Showed a
did.
couple of suggestions and talking about, you know, laughing about how funny it is to roast me. Well, that doesn't come off as you being genuine. It comes off as extremely disingenuous that you're like making a rage bait title, thumbnail, and description while saying, I want an open dialogue. I'd love to interview him. And
I didn't say
I'd
that.
love to,
I said I'd be down for a
you know,
debate, like an
I
interview.
respect him as a creator, but his opinions are shit. It doesn't really work. And then you discredit me by saying I kissed the dev's ass, which
Okay, I can
one
explain.
isn't true.
I could explain that part because the
Okay,
devs.
let's hear it.
Okay,
All right.
because that's the reason I kept. I was that's the point I was making about the misunderstanding. It wasn't about arguing semantics. It was that me trying to say that I think you just don't want to call it out. That is such a bad, stupid thing for them to not let us have that loadout thing in the lobby
Okay.
and be able to switch. That you just don't want to say that. You don't want to admit that it's such bad design and a dumbass, stubborn decision. That's my point.
Well, because I believed it was a genuine misunderstanding. I as much as I think the devs have fucked up royally over the months, especially with disabling crossplay, I think that was one of the biggest missteps they've ever had which really made the game decline in player count, whether or not people would like to admit it. I think giving benefit of the doubt and being polite to a developer is probably the only way to give suggestion. If you're saying that they have no idea what they're doing, they're
Yes.
shit at their job,
Yes.
and their all their decisions are terrible, you know what they're gonna read? They're gonna read, this guy's spiteful. He doesn't want to actually give suggestions, and he's just mad at us. If you come in with a level head, you give your reasons, okay, and still give criticism, that is constructive criticism. And they could be like, this guy's passionate. And guess what? It worked. When I said, I love this game to death, because I truly do, but I think they fucked up. They fucked up many times. And I gave all of the reasons why they fucked up. The developer himself, I think it was Andy who replied to me, said, this post obviously has a lot of passion and love behind it, so I appreciate it. If you're coming in acting like an asshole just to be like, well, I don't support the devs and I don't want to kiss their ass, well, then nothing productive is going to happen, right? You need to come in with a level head and actually like talk like a human being. Like, I'm not speaking to like some
I got something.
corporate
Hold on.
overlord guy, right? I'm speaking to another human being who works to develop a video game. Like, he's not going to be perfect. He's not going to get everything right. So take some things with a grain of salt. Some changes are bad, and they'll get fixed with good community feedback.
Okay, well, I do. I'll paste this too. So I looked up what kissing ass, is defined as, and it says to be nice to someone in order to be liked by or to get something from them. And so, like, it sounds like what you're saying.
What was I trying to get from them?
Well, you're trying to get them to change the game the way you want. That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, I didn't tell them to do certain changes. I gave suggestions. Again, that's why it was a letter to the devs. I think there were a lot of suggestions that were asked for, but I don't think saying happy holidays to you guys is, come on now. I think it's really disingenuous to say happy holidays and being nice in the replies is kissing ass. I feel like that is way disingenuous. Like, if you're in an office building, right, and you work as like, I don't know what, like a fucking financial advisor, I don't know, some random shit, and your boss comes over, he comes over and says, all right, you're off for the week, go enjoy your time with your family, but you really want a promotion, but you just say, oh, happy holidays, I'll see you later, boss, thanks. Is that kissing ass?
I feel like it is. If you don't do it to, if you wouldn't equally do that to everyone, like the only person you replied to is Andy, the dev. Like, you don't care that anyone else read your long. I mean, I'm not saying you don't care, but like, you didn't reply to anyone else that read this long post. Also wants to have happy holidays, etc. You specifically and immediately replied to the dev.
How do you tone the line with being nice and kissing ass? I want you to tell me.
Well, I just wouldn't do it because I want something from them. Like, I wouldn't specifically do it for them. If I was going to do it anyway, I'll do it to anybody.
I'm asking, how do you be nice without kissing ass?
I don't know. Apparently, I'm bad at it. You said my video is bad and everything, so like, I mean, like.
Okay, but now it seems like you're getting upset that I think your video is bad, and you're like stammering, and you're like, it seems like you're getting upset. I'm asking you, how do you be nice without kissing ass?
I don't know. It's difficult, man. But you're only nice to the devs here in the thread.
Then why are you assuming that I'm kissing ass? That's a little
because you're
silly,
only nice to them. That's why.
How was I only nice to them?
You didn't reply to anyone else.
If you watched my stream reaction, which you didn't, I literally replied to every comment in that thread in my stream. Am I going to type them all out? No, because I want to play video games and entertain my chat. I'm not going to spend 3 hours typing when I could much easier display it in my stream. And then I know you would say, well, why didn't you say I'm replying to them all stream? Well, because then that's self-promo. I don't want to come off as a jackass. Be like, hey guys, everybody, come to my Twitch chat where I reply to all your comments. And I give you all my suggestions on why you guys are wrong and I'm right. That would come off as egotistical and that I made the post for people to come watch me stream. I'd rather give my suggestions in my stream and read them out and not discredit, but refute them in a productive manner than sitting there and going,
rush meta.
typing in chat why I'm wrong. I don't want to reply to someone for 12 hours straight because I'm going to be honest, some Redditors are like, not a lot of them, I'll say, are very like too, what's the right word for it? I guess self-aware. Like they're very angry. I'll put it like that. I'm trying to find the right word for it, but they're very angry. And I don't really want to have like a conversation that will last for days. I'd rather not. I'll be honest. I'll be too bored because I'll reply in stream, and I think that's good enough. I think that's fine.
Okay, well, can we talk about the rush meta a little? I want to talk, like, you wrote that the rush
Well,
meta isn't overpowered.
why are you moving on? Like, it
Well,
seems like, why are you so quick to move on? Like, can you at least admit that you're wrong?
well, how am I wrong though? I mean, if I'm wrong
Can
and
you
you were just
admit that I'm not ass kissing because I'm just being polite?
well, it's hard for me because the definition literally says that if you're doing it to get something or be liked
It's
by
the way
them.
you interpret the definition.
I mean, that's not. Well, it says this. I'm not. I don't know.
Well, if I look up the definition of jackass in Merriam-Webster, and it says,
Okay, what does it say?
here, I'll,
Okay, I'm
here,
curious.
I'll look
Okay,
it up.
I'll look too.
Listen.
Okay.
If I look up jackass in Merriam-Webster, okay, it says stupid, annoying, or okay, listen. I'm not calling you jackass right now, but if I were to look it up and it says stupid, annoying, or detestable, I could interpret that you're annoying. Therefore, you're a jackass. Because as I'm looking at the definition, shit, man, that kind of sounds like you're just trying to be annoying to me. So can you admit that you're wrong? I don't think the Merriam-Webster where you interpret something is going to like be clear cut.
I mean, it's hard to. I don't mind if you want to say that I'm wrong. I really don't think I'm wrong because I mean, if you're saying that wasn't your intention,
Do you
then
think
I
you're
can.
wrong about anything that I refuted?
No.
Not even after I gave it. You said you watched my. You said you watched my stream. I feel like it's physically impossible.
What do you think I should be wrong about? I'll ask.
You literally disagreed with me that the game was pay to win, and I'll literally here. I'll pull up. Here, give me a second.
I did not disagree. I think it's pay to win as hell. I said that even if they put in a currency like you were saying, it'd still be pay to win. Okay.
I got the timestamp. At 21 minutes and 52 seconds, you claimed that Danny is pay to win. Then later disagrees with me, saying that it is not pay to win. That it depends. That it might not always be pay to win. And then
then I said I'll take that with a grain of salt and say you're right.
But you saying that I'm right in this imaginary hypothetical doesn't do anything. You want to disagree with me. So in what you said, let's pretend he's right. I'll take it with a grain of salt.
I didn't say let's pretend. I said let's say he's right.
Yes, but that's a hypothetical.
I mean, you could be right. I mean, I'm just saying that I don't know.
Exactly. That's what a hypothetical is.
But I don't know every situation with new characters or something in every game ever made. You know, that's why I'm saying that. Like maybe some game did do it with that. But I'm saying for now, I'll say you're right. I'll say you're right. It is pay to win. About that. I said that. You know, like that's what I'm saying.
My point is that you disagreed with me, and then you brought up a definition on screen. And the definition literally proved me right, but you still somehow disagreed with me. And the reason why you disagreed with me is because you want to disagree with me. And you say that you like me. And listen, I'm not looking for your admiration.
I didn't say I like him. When did I say that? I said I think he's a good streamer.
But if you disagree with me because you dislike me, well, then you shouldn't be making a video on why I'm wrong.
It's not about that. It's not about that.
Because it's a disingenuous
video.
Well,
the thing I disagreed with specifically is that you said the main dividing factor is they don't give the option to earn extra characters through a progression level currency. And I was saying that even if they did, if you could get it through paying for it and got it faster, that's still technically pay to win. That's what I was saying. I wasn't disagreeing with your whole thing on it. I was just saying that just because you have an in-game currency doesn't make it any less pay to win. Even Lost Ark or whatever is pay to win, even because you can buy stuff that you can earn in game. Like you can buy it faster.
It's a really big difference. Obviously, devs will want to make it a purchasable thing so they can profit off of their game, but not allowing a built-in system to get progression for unlocking something makes it even more pay to win.
I agree. I agree with you.
Then why do you disagree with me in the original video?
The only thing I disagreed with was you making it seem like if they gave the extra currency that it wouldn't be as pay to win or whatever.
I never said that.
I was saying it's still pay to win. You know, like either way. That's what I was saying.
What happened in the video, and I don't want to argue semantics too long because it's not that big of a deal. But what happened in the video, as I said, is pay to win. Whether you like it or not, in these class shooters where it's like locked behind a paywall, it's pay to win. And you said, well, it depends, you know, like I don't want to say that, or it was kind of just like, it's kind of like riding the line.
Okay, but I mean, I ended up agreeing. I said, I'll take it with a grain of salt and say you're right. Like, I don't understand why you're holding out on it. Right. I agreed with you. I agree with you on some things. Fine. I agree the rematch thing wouldn't be a bad idea. I just don't know how they do it. I was saying that too. I agree with you on some. I agree that Sunny doesn't need a cooldown in the beginning for six. Like, I agree on some of your things. I'm not just trying to disagree with you. I understand, but I'm just saying that like I was just doing the definition of pay to win. If you think I went too far with that over semantics, that's fine. I'm not trying to. Maybe I did. I'll admit
fair.
that.
But would you at least want to admit that you also I also think it's very disingenuous that the things that you did agree with me in the video were just made up to no shit. Well, that's obvious. Everybody knows that. I feel like, how is it like? Come on, be level with me. Level with me. How is that productive to see? Well, he thinks this. Well, no shit. Like, obviously, everybody knows that. How is that productive?
Oh, I thought it was entertaining. That's why I said it. But I mean, also, I didn't understand why you spent time writing a paragraph about favoring realism or not. Because, you know, in a game...
Well, because you didn't read it. If you read it, you would have understand the point of it. You waving over a paragraph and then going by and going... And you said that many times throughout the video of, I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what this means. And you harped a lot on typos, which I don't think it was that big of a deal. Like, come on, let's be real. It was like a 4,000 word essay. Not a big deal. But when you wave off a paragraph going, I don't know what he's saying.
Rush meta, dude.
Well, that's on you. You're not reading it. So, like, if you don't try to understand it, well, then you're not going to understand it.
I think he really does take offense to that because it keeps going, I don't care. It keeps going over it.
I wrote it for the devs. So for you being like, well, why isn't he explaining this enough? It wasn't catered towards you. The post was never made for you.
Hold on. There's something else I can talk about.
If you don't want to understand it, then you're actively not understanding it.
Okay. I can counter that. In us versus them, that paragraph, you said I would hope people.
We were talking about something completely different. You're completely hopping.
What were you talking about? I'm talking about. I thought that's one of the things that I said. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, we were talking about realism.
Okay.
Yeah. So why wave over that if you're trying to understand it, but at the same time you don't care about understanding it?
Because I don't know what I'm understanding here. You're saying that it's a game, and I agree.
Then like, don't use it to discredit somebody's opinion of I don't know what he's saying. He's done no research. And that's another good point.
Well, with the misunderstanding one, I said he did no research because he said there's no misunderstandings. That's why I assumed that. You know, if you still did read it and just like translate it as, well, no, I say you're still misunderstanding. I didn't know that. I assumed you just hadn't seen it.
Okay, well, we're not talking about the loadout. The loadout misunderstanding, whatever. We've crossed that. But you said at the beginning of the video that I didn't do any research for any of the topics and that you'll prove it many times throughout the video. That's what you said. At the beginning of the video, you said, as we can see, you know, as content creators do most of the time, they talk out of their ass. And I'll show you many times why he's wrong and how he does no research. But genuinely,
I did.
Genuine question. Where would you do the research other than playing the game?
Well, just like, for example, looking up that Reddit post.
That's not research about like the actual game mechanics.
What's what the dev said though? That's what I was talking about the research.
You're talking about the loadout tree thing?
Yes.
Yeah, but you referenced the research thing multiple times. I'm not talking about just the loadout tree. You referenced it basically towards every paragraph.
The other time I mentioned it is when you said also remove the lobby timer LOL, and they said in the dev stream they are. So I thought you didn't see that since you wrote that.
Okay, but if I didn't see one small part of a stream or a small part of a Reddit post, and we both agree that it's a good thing that they're removing it, why argue it?
I'm not arguing. I just said I didn't think you did the research on it.
No, but you are, because you're saying I didn't do any research. Why?
But you didn't. You didn't know that he said that.
Okay, so what? Like, should I, like, in all honesty, should I really have
am I fucking wrong?
to read every Reddit post to quote unquote do research? Do I have to see every patch note list? Where do we draw the line in the sand?
I mean, I don't know. I was just making points that some things you said they've already commented on, you know, one way or another. Those were the two things I mentioned with research. I didn't mention any other paragraph about research.
But you shouldn't, if I didn't see them say, oh, they're removing the lobby timer, you shouldn't use that to say, well, then, he didn't do any research for any of this, because that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I didn't say for any of it. I just said...
No, but you did at the beginning of the video. You did. I'll prove many times throughout this video. You, for fact, said that at the beginning of the video.
Well, the things that I referred to, I didn't think you did the research on. I'm
not trying to be rude, but I have timestamps of like literally everything. So if you want to say I'm wrong, I'll literally just tell you the timestamp and you can look it up yourself and see that what you said is what you said.
Okay, I'm not trying to argue that. I'm just trying to focus on, what, like, in terms of research, like, so, like, examples, like, wanted to get into was the rush meta, but let's just say, for example, you right here, like, one thing that you said, you made a comment, right? Did you not? That I act like I don't, what is he saying? I don't understand, right? In the video, like, you said that. So that's why I went to us versus them, because I said that for that also. And what I was
Yeah, but
talking,
we weren't talking about us versus them. But
yeah,
go
but
ahead.
we were
Go ahead.
talking about, you know, me saying, oh, what is he saying here? And that's why I'm trying to give an example. And when he said, I would hope people learn to counter certain mechanics in the game rather than complain and beg for it to be nerfed or changed. In this whole paragraph, you didn't refer to what mechanics you were talking about. And I was asking, what are you talking about? Like, what? That's what that came from. Like, what are you talking about? What
Okay.
mechanics?
Well, the thing is, right? Yes, I can be more specific. That is true. That is true. However, it is already a 4,000 word essay.
Well, I want to know too, like, and even now in this discussion, what mechanics are you talking about that you think are like handheld that didn't need to be changed?
Well, stealth for one. I think stun immunity is also another one. I think that
So you
I don't
don't
think
think stun immunity needed to happen?
I think there were other solutions that they could have done because it
Like
was
what?
mainly because of uh Valve and stun locks. So they could have like thrown the family member out of the radius of the door. So, and that's a genuine suggestion. Throw it out of the radius so they don't get stunned
Yeah,
again.
but what if they get
Uh,
barged in the doorway?
well, then I guess they're gonna get stunned again.
I guess they
Like,
are. That's why they had to change that. There's no
well,
counterplay to
yeah,
that.
but that's why the barge is on like a 3-minute cooldown.
It
So
is,
like,
but there's no counterplay to it. Then you can get stunned from that, and then when you get up from the door stun, you get backstab. That could be 3 stuns in a row. That actually had happened to me before.
well, you can dodge the barge if you're Leatherface. That
There's
is,
no
if you're
dodging
Leatherface.
it.
If you are Leatherface, that is, if you can mind game the barge, you can effectively kill a Leland while he is running at you. Okay.
How do you mind game it?
It's the word it's what the word means, mind game. It is a battle of wit. Who is going It's like a game of chicken. Who's going to break first? You know, they're spinning, you're spinning. Who's going to break first? As long as you don't just run willy-nilly right into the Leland, because if you're assuming, if you're smart and you're assuming that he has a barge ready, the last thing you want to do is Leatherface is just go to town and run straight in. You want to like bait it out a little bit. So when they start clicking right click, oh shit, he dodged. Oh wait, he wrapped around and I'm dead. Right?
I mean, if they spam it though, it comes out even mid swing. Like as long as they're spamming the button for it, there isn't like they
Well,
can't.
yeah,
I
but
wish
they'll
they
still
could
get
miss it.
hit.
I wish they could miss it, but they can't.
They'll still
Like
get hit. I've had many times as
sometimes they
Leland.
do, yes, but
Well, I've had many times as Leland where I'll literally get the barge off, but I will still die because I will, of course, that my health would have been depleted to nothing. So as long as you still get the hit, you will get the kill. As long as they are weak enough and it does enough damage, of course. Um, yeah. Do you have any other questions about us versus them?
I just don't understand how you're saying that it's a hand holding or something to not want to be stun locked, especially when the barge mechanic, in my opinion, doesn't really have a counter. Like usually that one hit won't kill
Well,
them because of no cell or just having full health or anything, and it's hard to even get that hit to count, especially now with the hitbox shadow nerf shit to Leatherface. Like you can't swing early really.
okay. Well, another issue with the reason why, like, if you look through the post as well, I talked about a lot of the stuff regarding us versus them and the realism aspect. It had to do with Reddit posts that were already made many times. So if you were around in the peak era of TCM, which I assume you were,
That was
um, with the subreddit, a common post that would be made like every other day, and it was like ridiculous at how much it was like a point that was argued was, well, Bubba is 6'4". He weighs 300 pounds. How the hell are these victims? How the hell is Connie stunning him? Why are these tools scattered around basement? Why are they tied up? Why aren't they dead yet? Why are they just left to live? Why are they named victims when they can fight back? The real like answer to all of that is you got to suspend your disbelief. Same with any like type of media. If you're constantly critiquing or analyzing it and being like, well, this shit makes no sense, well, then you're not going to enjoy it, right? And what a lot of people wanted to do in the peak of the game is that they would make those comments, be like, well, why is this isn't really realistic?
I
This
really want
isn't
to talk about
fair. The
the
other
Russian.
side,
I
they're
don't know.
victims.
He's talking about
Why
like
can
what
they
people
punch me?
think.
What the fuck, bro?
Who
Like,
cares what dumbasses think?
this is
I don't know.
unfair. And then they ask
This is
for
a letter
a
to the
nerf, a
devs.
change. Handholding. I don't think it's smart. I think constantly advocating for unnecessary changes, I think is a bad idea. I think it's a
But
bad idea.
how is the stun immunity unnecessary though? That's what I can't understand.
Well,
Because like the stun.
you're putting words in my mouth. I'm not saying specifically the stun immunity is an unnecessary change.
Well, you messaged that. You mentioned that as a certain
I think it was
mechanics.
overdone. I think it was overdone, but I don't think it was necessarily unnecessary.
Well, if it wasn't 10 seconds, even at 10 seconds, people could chain stun you on the valve before they buffed it again, you know, for family. Like, but before that, they could chain stun you on it. That was one of the most common exits on Slaughterhouse almost every single game. They'd always do it, like every single time.
Well, now Valve tanks upstairs.
Yeah, now it is. Yes. So what I'm saying, like the stun resist was 10 seconds because like it had to be at least because of that. And then you have to add other things like if they're pressuring an objective like the fuse box, one person could grapple you, then unlock it. Then he could stay. He could walk away for 3 seconds, come back, barge you, and then do it in front of you. Like if there's only 3 seconds, you have no chance to even pressure damage on them. Like they're just gonna run out of range, and within 3 seconds of running to them, hit you. Like that happens at the high level already. With 10 seconds stun, I mean, with 3 seconds, it'd be even worse. You know, like
Okay, but like when it comes to these very niche scenarios, why should we balance? Like, I think it's fine to balance around high level play, right? But I think balancing around these incredibly niche scenarios gets us nowhere.
okay, are you saying that because it doesn't happen often, it's not worth balancing around?
If it happens like once in 1,000 games, yeah, I think it's a little silly to like want to balance around that. If it's
Okay,
not common at all and like it doesn't impact the like health of the game, I think it's fine. I don't think
okay.
it matters that
Well, I
much.
can counter that then because let's say cheating, which you wrote about, right? Let's say
Well, you didn't read it.
in your experience,
No, but you didn't read
I
it.
mean, you keep
You
telling. I
skipped over
did.
that part.
I skipped over in the video, but I did read it. I believe that you've said that you didn't see it as much, right? You didn't see cheating as much. Sometimes it could be a bug, definitive proof of cheating. You didn't see, in your experience at least, you didn't see it that much, right? You didn't run into it that often. But just
Mhm.
because you didn't run into it that often doesn't mean they didn't need to do something about cheating. Did they do the right thing with the crossplay? No, of course, I agree with you on that. But like, they had to do something. They can't just leave cheating in the
So then
game
why do we
because you don't run into
disagree?
it a lot. Well, I'm just
Then
saying.
why
Well,
why
the
are we
point isn't
disagreeing?
about cheating. The point is that cheating is an example of a problem in the game that just because you don't see it often doesn't mean it's not a problem that you need to actually
Th-
address. So just because you don't see
This is
high level
this
play
is
stuff often doesn't mean it's still not a
this is
problem.
completely different though. That is an external literal cheater who is using software to change how the game works in their favor. It is not a fair comparison at all. One is game balance. One is somebody literally changing how the game works because they have software. It is
Right.
not a fair comparison at all.
But my point is that it's something you don't see often that feels unfair, right?
Then
Like,
use a different comparison because that comparison does not work. It doesn't. It's not it can't be used there. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. It can't. It's not it doesn't work there. It just doesn't. Because
well, I
like if
mean,
you're it
the
would be
point.
like saying we should balance around certain objectives so cheaters don't have a easier time cheating.
Well, no, they
It
just try to
that
counter
doesn't
that. They don't
make
let them.
any
They don't let them
sense.
cheat, is what I was saying. But the point is that if a high level person can do it, and for also I'd say that the casual players wouldn't abuse that stuff that often, which means like if they did balance for the high level, it wouldn't even affect the casual players because they don't abuse it anyway. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff like the stun locking with the grapple, the barge, chaining it back to back to try to like get something progressed. Like they don't even really abuse that as effectively as they could. So if you did do some sort of nerf to that or to make it better, like let's say for it's just an example. I'm not saying it has to change right now, but like if they did that, it wouldn't even hurt the casual players. So I don't know why you're so afraid to balance quote around like high level niche competitive play if it's not
Well,
even
you're
going to hurt
saying I'm
the
afraid to
general.
balance around it. Again, you're miscategorizing what I'm saying. I
Okay,
never
what
said
were
it
you
was
saying? What
bad.
were you saying?
Bro, come on. Like at least try to listen to what I'm saying.
I'm trying real hard right now.
I never said I never said that you should not balance around. Oh, I'm sorry. I read something in my chat. You should never it's not that you should not balance around competitive balancing or be afraid to balance around it. But like don't say that it's casual balancing and then do competitive. It doesn't make any sense. You're just completely contradicting yourself doing that. That's not what I said.
Well, I thought you were saying because it's niche and doesn't really hurt the health of the game or something like that.
But
What was the
when
point?
does that come into the argument of competitive v casual balancing? That doesn't have anything to do with it. It's a completely different subject.
How so? Like that's what I'm talking about. Competitive balancing that niche situation or whatever. Like that, it doesn't hurt the game at all to do that. Is what I'm saying. Like they should do that. They shouldn't. I don't really know what you mean when you say
I
casual. Like, and you said as the rush matter, they try to handle the rush matter. We're slowly drifting away from casual gameplay. I don't know like exactly what that means
what
because
it is drifting away from because when it is in any game where people started out playing like shit in TCM because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. That's setting game, right? Um, when they find a way to optimize the game as efficiently as possible, it's gonna obviously drift away from casual balancing because they're not gonna. The devs weren't testing the game thinking, "Damn, these guys can all just run out window and just like make it to main road exit. Damn, this guy can just get stunned over and over using a door. Why didn't we think about this?" when people find a way to optimize the shit out of a game, it's obviously going to drift away from competitive balance, or sorry, casual balancing to competitive balancing.
Right, but is that a bad thing that it gets more competitive with the balancing? I
You've
mean,
you've asked me that many times, and my answer is stay the same. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know why
okay.
you keep asking me it.
Well, because I thought you didn't want. I thought you said like, for example, you said the rush meta
But
is
you've
not
asked me like
overpowered.
5 times. You've asked me like 5 times.
Okay. Well, how about this
I've said
question?
I don't think competitive balancing is
Okay,
bad.
okay, so then you said the rush meta isn't overpowered as and is incredibly counterable. But typically, people that rush are rewarded because the opposing side doesn't know how to play against it. You didn't say
Mhm.
exactly how to play against it.
Yeah, if you have the correct pathing as a family team, you should be able to shut down people like getting around. I think if you're just throwing your hands up in the air and going, "Well, GG, they know how to rush." I think yeah, you're obviously going to lose. Like if you path and like move around the area in a smart like way as family, you can lock down any map. So
Okay.
I don't know why we would be
Well,
disagreeing
well,
on
let
that.
me ask a question then, because I saw this in your VOD when I was watching your stream reaction. You switched to TCM, and one of your games you got matched against Danimal. He was like in that tournament or whatever. You didn't know that. You were solo queue. If I was solo queue, I'd lose too, so I'm not saying it's about like skill or anything. I'm saying that like you were Leatherface. I think you broke like 2 barricades, and you're like, oh shit, they're already up, like storage. And as you got up there and took like 5 steps, basement exit open, 3 people escaped. And now I'm not saying that's your fault or anything, but do you think that should even be a fucking thing? Like you don't think that's overpowered that they could do it that fucking fast? I mean, you were in the basement too,
Um
like trying to get out of it, and
what were they like a 4 stack or something?
I don't know if they were all 4 together, but I just know that's all. I don't know like
Okay,
what their
well
team is
let's
completely, but
okay. The thing is, when it comes to people partying together, right? In any game, I'm playing on a team solo queue, no mics. Okay,
yeah, I
laid
understand
back in
that.
my chair, playing not to win, just to relax. It's probably my first. It was probably one of my first games on. Well, let's say it wasn't. Let's say it wasn't my first game on. Let's say I've been playing 10 games and I was already warmed up and I just played like shit. Okay, I played like shit.
But I don't think you played like necessarily like shit. I mean, maybe you shouldn't have broke like an extra barricade, but should that be so punished that they just like you're saying the rush meta isn't overpowered? I'm saying it
I
is.
don't think
Like
it
I'm
is.
saying, well,
I
how can
think.
you say that and you can get rushed that bad? Like
Well, if you don't, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you like to refer to like the average player, the solo queue player experience, their typical experience against anyone that knows to do that is gonna be like that. I'm not saying it's gonna always happen, but like the fact that that can happen is really bad for the game, is what I'm saying. Like the
Yeah, but
fact
any
that
4 stack with mics is always going to do better than solo queue with no mics. That's just not even a question. So if you're playing as a team, right? Um, then like you're probably gonna win against solo queue.
yes, but I'm
End of the
talking
day.
even in a situation where you're all 3 family coordinated and it's 4 victims coordinated. I think the rush meta is still overpowered, even when you're both coordinated teams.
Yeah.
Do you not think
Well,
that?
I disagree.
Okay, how so? How is it not overpowered? What's the counter to that? Where would you go? Well, on gas
You
station, what's
asked
the
me.
meta?
You asked me that before. Again, I think if you path correctly and you do the right shit, right,
What is the
then
right
I think you
shit?
can win. Dude, I keep saying it, like if you're pathing correctly. Listen, if you don't want to understand what I'm saying, that's
I
fine.
do
But
want to
like,
understand. Where am I pathing? I spawn in Leatherface Lair. Where do I go?
depends on what map you're on.
Gas
Depends
station,
on what
gas
perks you
station,
have. Depends on what
gas
comp you
station,
have.
scout.
Usually, you'd probably want to leave basement as soon as possible,
Okay, which door?
whichever you spawn closest to,
Okay.
and lock it behind you. Like, I don't know what you're really like
Well, I'm just saying
trying
that
to.
it's like not as simple as that, and that like it's a completely stressful, not fun experience to even try to keep up with the rush because I do think it's overpowered, and you're desperately trying to counterplay it, and you have to have a very specific meta that you're limited to, which is Leatherface, Hitch, Cook. So you can't even be creative in your team comp if you even want a chance against the rush
If you
meta.
want to win every game, I'm sure you want to like play meta, but like you don't always have to win. I don't think.
But why wouldn't you want to win? Why wouldn't you want to play to win?
Well, is your like I don't think fun is like a good debate topic, but just for all intents purposes, do you like just out of curiosity? This has nothing to do with like who's right or wrong, but do you only have a good time when you win?
Most of the time, yes.
And that's fine. That's fair. I'm a very different person. I can lose and be fucking having my sides hurt.
So did
Right?
you
I
did
could
you
still.
have fun that game that they rushed and were out basement exit in like fucking 50 seconds? Did you have fun that gas station match?
I'm sure I probably was like, oh well, requeue because
Right,
family
but
queue
that
is like
doesn't sound like
instant.
you had that much fun, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but not every game is gonna be fun. You're not entitled to a win. You're not entitled to have a good time. You know, it's like if in DBD, if I get tunneled out, oh boo-hoo, they should have let me live. I'm entitled to them giving me a fair chance. Or if I'm playing on killer side and they teabag at a pallet or they four at me, well, they should have given me a better chance to win. That's fucked up. You're not entitled to a win. You're not entitled to a good time. Every time you boot up a video game, you are rolling the dice effectively. Are you going to have a bad game? Are you going to have fun? You're playing, that's why a lot of people don't always play to win. If you can still have a good time playing, then it's time well spent. If you're only, because that's the mindset, right? If you're playing to win and you lose, well, then you're like, well, fuck, man, that was a waste of time. I don't want to play that anymore. But if you're just enjoying yourself, then it's like, damn, I got fucked that game. Let me requeue.
I
Right?
know, but with that mentality, then why even balance the game? If you lose, who cares? You know what I mean? Who cares how unbalanced one thing is or another? Like, that's why I can't use that
Okay, but that's
logic.
a strong, but you're straw manning my point. Is that just because I think losing is okay and I can still have fun losing doesn't mean I don't think some things should be balanced. You're
Well,
completely taking my
my
point and
point is about rush
straw
meta,
manning it to
because I
shit.
think it's overpowered, and you're saying it's not. And if you lose, well, it's not that big a deal. Like, that's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm
Again,
quote straw manning it.
you're still doing it though. Like I get what point you're trying to make, but they're not like having fun and winning is not mutually is not mutually exclusive. I'm like phrasing it
I
badly,
agree
but
with you, but you didn't seem to have much fun when you lost to that. It seemed like it happened so
okay,
fast. You're like,
but
okay,
it's one game.
I understand,
It's
but
one game. Why does that matter that much? Genuinely.
because the fact that it
Why
can happen matters, and the fact that the games can be at its core unfair. And if it feels unfair, even if it just happens once in a while, like the fact that it can is bad for the game. Like they should address that. That's what my point
do
was with
you think
cheating.
it's
Just because it happens once in a
possible?
while.
Do you think it's possible? Again, cheating. No, you keep bringing up cheating. That is a third party software
Okay, I'll let
to
go. I'll let go of cheating.
avoid
I'll let go. That's not.
built-in game
I understand. I
mechanics.
understand. But okay, I'll let
Okay.
go. I'll let go of it.
I lost my train of thought. What was it?
The rush meta.
Yeah, I think I already said what I have to say. It's just like just because like do you think it's possible to 50-50 make everything balanced to a T in any game?
You can't be perfect at it, but I think you can get a hell of a lot closer than they have in this game.
Well, exactly. So would you not say in those games that aren't perfectly balanced, right? They will have outliers in balance.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be fair to say that within those outliers, those niche scenarios, that sometimes it's not possible to balance it perfectly?
I disagree. I think when you find those niche
But what you
scenarios, you
just
can try
said
to
with me,
balance it.
what you just said to me, you're contradicting yourself. What you just said to me is that there are going to be outliers because no game is perfect, no game is balanced, and to a lot of people, balance is subjective. Okay? So within those outliers, it's not possible perfectly to balance them.
That would depend on the outliers, and that would also you're also assuming that the outliers are there with them knowing that. Usually
Well,
outliers
why
occur
can't
because
you
people
agree
don't
with me?
realize. Because I don't agree. Because I think that the outliers occur
But
because
you're
devs
agreeing
don't
with me, but
realize what
then
people are going to
disagreeing
do.
with me.
How?
Bec- Okay, I'll say it again. You agree with me that games cannot be perfectly balanced.
Right.
Okay? Yes. All right.
Yes.
There will be outliers in that balance. And in those games that cannot be perfectly balanced, it is sometimes not always possible to have those outliers be balanced. And of course, they could look at those specifically and change them, but then that might make something else a little off putting. It might tip the scales in a different favor on another niche scenario. My point is that you're literally agreeing with me, but at the same time disagreeing for no reason.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing for no reason. I'm just saying you can't be perfect, but you can get a lot closer than now. And one of those quote outliers is the fucking rush meta. That's what I was trying to say. That is one of those things that
That's what I'm saying too, and you're still disagreeing with me.
well, you just keep telling me I'm disagreeing with you. I'm telling you I'm disagreeing that you're sounding acting like it's just going to be outliers. That's just it. It's just going to be like that. You know, like, and I'm saying that, well, it doesn't have to be like that. You know, they could do better is what my point is. But it's
Okay,
okay if we
I
don't
don't.
agree. It's okay if we don't agree. How about we talk about Danny? I kind of want to talk
All
about
right.
Danny. So you said that while he definitely needs a nerf, a family team could just focus him out of the game, like many did when Connie was a huge problem during the rush meta.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a clip here. It's 20 seconds. You don't have to watch if you don't want to, but it's a clip where I'll show real quick where that Danny does get focused by a competitive family team, and you can see what happens. He still tampers it and somehow gets away.
So I put on the valve. I let him overhead me. I tamper. Like, I have the prompt. So I tamper.
Oh, they get out of the
stand
stun.
back up. Yeah. And then he swings, and I just, like, somehow don't get hit. I go, like, through him, bro. Like, and then Cook hits me. It doesn't have serrated.
You have like.
Oh, he doesn't have serrated. What the
No,
fuck?
bro, on the valve. I let him overhead me. I tamper. Like, I have the prompt. So I tamper.
Oh, they get out of the
stand
stun.
back up.
Okay, but what
And
point
then
are
he
you making with this?
swings.
That Danny's strong?
That they focused him and it didn't matter. You can't just focus him. Like you said, you just like Connie, but it's not true. That doesn't work.
Okay,
Like,
but all right, if we think about it, right, and we take into the account that Danny is fucking busted, okay, and you shouldn't be able to one-tap tamper an object and automatically turn it on. If they want to tamper, in my opinion, make it so you have to do the minigame, and you can't just right-click it. It's stupid. Make it actually take time. And in that case, if it actually took time, he wouldn't have gotten that, and he would have died. I think saying the game is completely victim-sided right now because of one character is a little narrow thinking.
so after seeing that clip, you still don't think you think it's narrow thinking to say the game is definitely victim-sided?
I'm saying if you think the game is victim-sided because of one character,
Yes.
it's narrow thinking.
Okay. I don't know how.
Do I think Danny is busted? Yes, he is busted. He is disgusting. Yes, he needs to be nerfed to the ground. He needs to be changed immediately. But if you think it is overwhelmingly victim-sided just because of Danny, then I'm just going to have to disagree.
How can you? I just don't understand how you can. When you even said yourself, he could one-tap. You should never be able to one-tap tamper. Like that character.
And I agree.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So how is it not victim-sided while a character can do that? You know what I mean? Like, that's insane.
What about when Danny's not playing in the game? Is it still victim-sided?
I don't know. Maybe not as much, but they still have advantages when they start early, you know, and can rush up and everything.
Okay.
But it's not nearly like with Danny. Danny totally makes it. Yeah.
For argument's sake, let's take Danny and Nancy out of the equations. Just to be fair. Just to be fair. Let's take the new characters out. Do you think it's victim-sided?
Honestly, I haven't played much when it's not Danny, so I don't know. But I'd say Nancy's already out of the equation because if you even see, you probably haven't seen that tournament or whatever or high level play. No one uses a Nancy. They always use Cook, Hitch, Leatherface. That's it.
I've
Nancy's
seen
not
some
viable.
high level play, and I mean, all due respect to people at Screwball, I think they did a fantastic job putting on that tournament. But a lot of participants put on some weird ass perks.
Oh yeah, of course. They weren't all yeah.
Exactly, that's my point. It would be kind of like saying, guys, I'm speaking from authority because I play competitive. But if the player pool is like 100 players, like let's compare this to Overwatch, for example. Overwatch League has 100 players in it compared to a few years ago where it had 10,000. Guys, I'm top 10 in the top 100. I speak from authority, and we should change these balance ideas, right? If your sample size is not large enough, I don't think that carries nearly enough weight.
Okay, but let's focus on the top two teams then. Nobody ran Nancy.
My point is the sample size is not nearly large enough. There's not enough players. Calling yourself comp TCM level, I don't think it carries that much weight. I'm gonna be real with you because not many people play the game currently.
I agree.
Not nearly as much compared to when the game came out.
I agree, but when people do play at the high level, like in my experience, you can't afford to even run Nancy. She's too slow. Her trap setting is too slow. Teammates could break the traps.
Nancy is probably the best. If you want to run Nancy, the best play is probably on Family House. It's probably not smart to bring it on the other maps, because if you're running Hitch, Nancy, Cook, it's going to be very strong. It's going to be very difficult to escape if you're running that comp correctly. But on other maps, yeah, you probably wouldn't bring Nancy too much. But that's why I asked if you thought it was victim-sided without the new characters.
Yeah, without Danny, to be honest, I'm not sure. To be honest, I haven't gone against him much because he's literally in every fucking game. Yeah, so it's hard to say.
You said it yourself in my video, comparing the levels. You thought my comparison to the levels was dumb, about instant value on Nancy and no value on Danny at levels 0 through 2. Why are we focusing on a temporary state of game when Danny is about to be changed and nerfed to the ground? Why are we focusing on, the levels when that's a temporary state of game? When at the same time, Danny's OP nature is going to get changed. Therefore, it's temporary.
But we don't know how it's going to get changed or if they'll even do it right.
But my point is, they have said multiple times that they are going to change him, rework him, nerf him, take away his ability, and a big factor is taking away instant study, which they have taken a lot of looking into. If you look at the Reddit comments, in the AMAs and whatnot. So if that's temporary, then we should look at the game as a whole, not just Danny. Because if we're just like, the game's totally victim side because Danny exists, like, well, then what about everything else?
There's a difference between leveling up, though, and the devs having to make a change to the game balance. You know what I mean? Like in terms of temporary. Because right now it's just like that. It's not a temporary thing, but you can level up in like a day.
Victim. The issue with saying victim is OP is like saying, well, victim is OP right now because of Danny. Therefore, we should nerf victim. That doesn't make any sense.
That's what I was saying.
Exactly. You should nerf Danny. Danny is OP, not victim. They're not the same thing.
Okay. I mean, that feels more semantics, but I agree with you. Yes, that like Danny's was the core
semantics.
Victim thing that has to be nerfed.
Victims would be the entire cast of victims. All right, and the group as a whole. Danny is one character. One character. If you're saying nerf victims OP, that means nerf all of them. Nerf all of victim mechanics, not just Danny.
If you're interpreting it like that, I didn't say all victims. I said Danny is a problem. He needs to be nerfed. And I said victims are too strong in general, and I agree with that.
That's what you said. Victims are too strong.
Victims have things they can do. They can have Leland barge the Leatherface. They can have someone grapple backstab the next person. They can do the fuse box in front of you, even without Danny. That's two killers there, and they could do that. It happens at the high level.
That's OP.
Yes. They don't even use stealth at all because they don't have to. They don't care if you see them because they're abusing it. There's map loops, like infinites, like on the back of Family House, the gap. Even if you're there chasing on out the window to it, if she gets to that gap, it's it. Now you need two people out there just to potentially get her. She'll be there forever. And if you get two people out there, guess what? Now they have three people that could rush the last guy that's on the fuse box, stun, grapple, backstab, like I'm saying, and do the fuse box.
The issue with what you're saying is three people chasing one victim. They're signing up to lose.
Two people, and they'd have to chase her, or she lives out there forever.
Okay, then let one person chase. Like
one person,
you're saying,
but that's what happens. They're stuck in an infinite stalemate now because of an unfair thing.
You have to pick your battles. You have to pick your battles, though. Some battles will be a losing edge, and the best outcome is a stalemate.
So you think an infinite stalemate gap in a game that's supposed to revolve around stealth is okay?
You're strawmanning the shit out of my argument.
How am I strawmanning it? I'm saying you said that some games are going to have stuff that's a stalemate. You just said that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Do I think it's like a great design of gameplay? No, not really, but it just happens. It's again a niche scenario.
Well, that's one of the things I'm saying should be nerfed. And
many of these niche scenarios are decided by player intention. Okay, players play differently. People do different things. They don't all confine to one strategy. Some people like to fuck around. Some people like to sweat and get out in 2 minutes. Some people like to take the back route. Some like to take the front. It's completely niche and subjective on how people are going to play the game. And you can't really balance around like human like nature, really.
So you don't think they could change that infinite so it's not as stupidly overpowered? You don't think that's an option?
I'm not talking about the infinite. I'm saying sometimes you have to pick your battles. And sometimes you're going to be at a losing battle and you're going to have to make a sacrifice. If you have to lose one victim to catch the rest of the three, well then shit, man, that's what you got to do.
But she'll get all of them out. If you leave her there, she will pick the front door from the outside or the back gate from the outside. She'll do the pressure tank from the outside so they can all rush out together.
Should you just give up?
No, but I'm saying that based on this unfair map design, that's one of the reasons. You said, oh, no, it's not all victims to be nerfed, just Danny. I'm saying that this is one of the examples for me saying victims should be nerfed about victim. They shouldn't have a fucking safe infinite caught in the open that they can just use forever. They don't care if you see them. They don't care about stealth. Stealth will never matter because of that stuff like that. So they can just run out there in front of you. They get to it. That's it. Now you're stuck out there.
The mentality you have, though, and it's a bad mentality to have, is, well, GG, it's over. Like, well, I guess it's done. Like, it's broken and, like, it's over. What can you do?
But it is broken.
What can I do?
It's not about the mentality. It's that they should change that is what I'm saying.
It's a bad mentality to have. If you're just like throwing your hands up in the air and going, I lose. I'm not even going to try. My team sucks.
I mean, I didn't say that. If you're talking about strawmanning, I never said that.
Listen, I'm giving you an example. I'm not saying what you're saying. Okay. I'm giving you an example. If you just want to give up, then what are you doing? Like, genuinely, what are you doing?
I mean, if you're not saying I'm saying that, I don't know what the point is. I didn't say you just give up. I'm saying that it's unfair, though. Like, it's an unfair
Again, I go
situation
back
when
to
they have
you have
certain
to pick your
infinites.
battles. Sometimes you'll lose one or two because in every game that you play, there are going to be mistakes that you make. There are going to be mistakes that the other side makes. It's kind of like a game of chess. There will be blunders. There will be. Why are you laughing at that? Like it is a very true point.
No, I'm not
If you
laughing.
fuck up, then the other side is going to capitalize on that. And that's just the nature of games. Like you fuck up, GG, bro. Like you have to concede a kill or something, you know? It's like if you fuck up and somebody capitalizes on that and it feels overpowered, we shouldn't focus on, well, let's change that. That fuck up shouldn't have been nearly as
So
punishing.
what was the fuck up then in that situation?
Okay.
You jumped the window and just ran straight to it.
Well, if they're jumping out the window and if it's like Anna, then push them into well.
You can't though. She has stunt double. She gets up like too fast before you can even unlock the door. You unlock the door on
Okay, well,
reaction
then I
to
guess
it.
you're in a stalemate where you're just chasing so she doesn't impact the rest of the game.
Right. So how is that a fuck up? That you're saying pick your battles. You fucked up. Now just let her out. Like that's
Again,
not good design. That's bad. That needs to be nerfed.
You're taking my words and you're spinning them again.
How am I spinning them?
Because I'm saying a fuck up, right? I'm talking about fuck ups, and then you're saying, well, then what about this scenario? How is that?
Because I don't know why you're bringing in general fuck ups. I'm giving you a specific situation, and I'm asking you, like, how is that needs to be nerfed? And you're saying, well, you just have to accept it, and sometimes you lose. Or you can't just put your hands up. Let one get out, and now you're giving me general.
That's right. If you lose, you lose. Like you shouldn't. If you lose a game and you fuck up, you shouldn't be like, well, let's change it so that fuck up isn't as punishing.
I'm asking you how it's a fuck up though. That's what I'm asking.
Okay,
You're not answering.
let's talk about the Leatherface hitbox then, or let's say about door slamming.
What about
for example? I'll do the Leatherface hitbox. Some people will say, well, I missed my overhead and shit, man, it's a little too punishing. Why do I have to wait for my entire rev bar to come back to do another overhead? That's I missed it, but like, so what? Victims are kind of strong right now. I should be able to get another overhead. Or with door slamming. I'm a strong believer that if you continue to chase somebody, even after getting stunned, and you get stunned again, that is your fault. Like if you were chasing somebody and you continuously get stunned, you're the problem. You are fucking up big time. You can't just blame the mechanics, blame the player. Rats. He used the door, broken as fuck. If you fuck up and get slammed by a door multiple times, that's on you. And you shouldn't advocate, let's get this nerf, let's get this patch, let's get rid of this. Maybe just, learn how to counter it.
How would you counter it without stun lock resistance? How would you counter that? That means you can't chase them past the door. Yes, you can. Like,
how?
They can run like an extra 2 feet from the door and then slam it.
Relax. The thing is when it comes to door stuns, right? People really fucking hated me because I was a big stun locker and I used door stuns all the time, even if I wasn't stun locking. People fucking hated me. People made threads on me in videos. You have no idea. And the thing is, when it comes to doors, bro, you can slam them too. The amount of times I've gotten free kills on victim players.
Dude. Okay, hold on. I gotta interrupt you. Are you saying that it's just as fair to slam the door for family as it is for victim? You're saying there's not a 2-second delay or some shit on the prompt for family to slam the door. Victim has such an advantage. They can close it and open it.
That's probably a ping differential if you're talking about prioritizing.
The family simply can't. If they close the door slam, and you cannot open it faster than they could retry to open slam it. That's just a fact. That's not even an opinion or ping.
I've been on both sides of that where I don't get the prompt on family and victim, and most of the time it is a ping diff.
Well, I don't know how you can know that, but it's guaranteed a problem on family. They don't get the prompt.
If it feels laggy, it's like if you're rubber banding. If it feels laggy, then
fuck is that at his house?
It's a ping diff.
Fucking train outside his house. Well, I mean, I don't know how you can know that for sure, but I know that whether ping diff or not, it's a consistent problem for family where they simply can't have the prompt to slam the door as fast. If the game wasn't like Fisher Price and actually had like fluid, precise, you can slam it as soon as you can as each, side, I would be more inclined to agree with you. But family's at a complete disadvantage when it comes to door slamming. Victim gets such an advantage. They could run like way past it and then still slam it closed or something, even though they're like should be out of range of the door. They give them such generous.
I think the only advantage that victims have over family is how long they stay stunned. That's it. Stun immunity is such a big advantage from family players. that they can't get stunned in any way, shape, or form after 10 seconds.
But why should you be stunning them again? Shouldn't you be stunning them then like incentivized to run away? Like why would you sit there?
Why can't people play around the fun mechanics? If I want to stun and then wait around another door to get another stun, why can't I?
Because that's not fun for the other guy getting stun locked like that.
You're not entitled to fun. You're not entitled to fun. You sign up for a game. You're not entitled to have a good time. That's
so now you're not allowed. So now
it's
a bad argument to think both sides should be having fun.
In an ideal world, in a perfect world, everybody should have a good time, right? But you are not entitled. It's a bad faith argument. You are not entitled to having fun in a video game.
So would you have had fun if someone's door slamming you like that?
Yeah, and I've had many times. I've been stun locked before. It's just funny.
You're having fun that whole time?
If you want to go back in my streams and see me getting slammed, go for it, man, because I have many examples in my streams for the past few months.
I mean, you also talk about the Leatherface hitbox, like that's not scuffed as hell. Like that could be so inaccurate and not even your fault sometimes. Sometimes the tracking for the overhead rev when you slam it down.
Yeah, it's fucked up sometimes, but again, it's a lot of the time it's due to a ping diff.
I mean, I don't know how you think everything's a ping diff with no proof whatsoever.
I didn't say everything. I said literally.
Okay, the things you said, the two things you said. I'm sorry.
Door
the two things you said. Okay, the two things you said.
hits.
Door slams and overheads. I don't know how you're sure those things are ping diff without any concrete proof whatsoever.
Okay. Have you ever had really bad ping in a game where you're laggy, you're rubber banding, you press a key, and then it takes a few seconds for it to actually register?
Yeah.
That's ping diff.
Right, but how do you know for sure that's happening in this game for those two mechanics?
If I'm having a delay of a couple seconds, if I press E on a door to open it and it takes 2.5 seconds to open, I'm going to say, wow, the ping of this server is complete shit. And if the person on the other side opens it immediately with their animation, then damn, server's in a bad location, ping diff.
Okay, so in that case, when it's an obvious, like you're lagging, right, through the whole game consistently, I understand that.
You can tell very.
Okay,
like,
that I can understand, but I'm saying even when it doesn't feel like it's lagging, the door prompt is delayed, and the overhead hits can miss, even without feeling any other lag whatsoever, is what I'm saying.
And that's just a design. Like, listen, in an ideal world, yes, if you hit somebody with your chainsaw, it should hit. That's not. It's not something we should be arguing on. Like it's a silly. That's a silly point because. Obviously, if you hit someone, you should get the hit. I don't know why that's a point of contention.
Well, my point of contention had to do more with the door slamming, because the door slamming, you're saying like it's just as fair when it's not. Families at a disadvantage.
I never said that. I literally gave you two reasons why it may be imbalanced on both sides.
Okay, well, I don't know how you think it's fair or okay to have it so that you can door slam someone over and over again.
I'm trying to make this as productive as possible, but I literally tell you my reasons. And
but
then
your reasons suck.
In the next sentence, you completely disregard them and say something completely different that I never said.
If I misspoke about saying everything's ping diff, that's my fault. I didn't mean to mistake.
No, I'm not
You're right
talking
about that.
that.
I'll take
You're
the L
saying,
on that.
How do you think it's fair? How do you think it's balanced when I literally give you two reasons why it might not be fair on either side?
I know,
the thing is, you really harped on, well, this guy's opinion is so shit. You know, this proves that you don't need to play both sides. But I'm going to level with you. You don't play a lot of victim, like at all. I went and saw your stream. You did like a bunch of stuff to get ready for a tournament, but most of your characters were unleveled. A lot of perks also unleveled. So I feel like it's a major cop-out to go, well, this just proves how I'm right and that you don't need to play both sides when you don't play the other side at all.
But what does that have to do with anything if I don't play the other side at all? How does that make my opinion any less valid?
Because if you don't have the experience playing both sides, and you haven't seen all these niche scenarios from both sides, and you don't know how to counter these scenarios from both sides, then you are going to be at a disadvantage because you don't have that experience.
Yeah, but how does that make my opinion on anything less valid if I don't play both sides?
You can have an opinion, but it's not going to encompass as much as you really need to be as unbiased as possible. Of course, I'm still going to be biased slightly. I think it's almost impossible to be perfectly unbiased. You will have your own nurture versus like nature life factors that you grew up with that have your own biases. You will play other games that will make you develop a bias towards a certain play style. But you as yourself should have more experience playing both sides rather than just going, well, this side's broken and not even playing it. If you don't have any of your characters level, you don't have any experience playing on Victim, I think it's very naive to just be like, well, Victim's OP. If you don't even play Victim. If you played Victim and you figured out, okay, I can abuse this. I can like stomp on their mistake by doing this against the family, then you would learn a lot faster what to do in those scenarios when you're playing on the other side.
Right, so I do have a level 3 Ana and a level 3 Danny, and I don't know that that means much, but I did play some Victim.
You got those 2 days ago.
Okay, yes.
I don't
But
like that should count. You got
why
those
doesn't it
3
count? What do you
days
mean it
ago.
doesn't count? How does that not count?
Let's be for fact. You got those 2 days ago.
Yeah, but I still
Now,
did things like...
You haven't had them. You haven't had them. Most of your experience, most of your games have come from family, and that's okay. That's okay too. But you got those characters leveled 2 days ago. You do not have nearly the same balanced experience on Victim to family. Just because you, quote unquote, play both sides and you play 20 Victim games compared to 1,000 family games, that does not mean you play 50-50. You play both sides and you have an unbiased opinion. That's just a cop-out.
I mean, I never said I play both sides. That's something you said. I never said that.
You made that a big point, saying this proves that you don't have to play both sides and why his opinions are all shit. That's what you said.
Because they are, like, the 3-second stun resist idea is shit, and you just want to door slam people.
That right now.
That's an example of a shit idea. We are talking about shit ideas, and I'm saying that's a shit idea.
That's fine.
Yes, I don't even know if I think it. I'm pretty sure it just is. You can't turn off the valve.
If you don't have the experience, okay? If you don't have the experience on Victim, your opinion is not going to encompass everything that it needs to encompass.
But I've run out the valve exit as Ana with 3 killers hitting me, not able to do anything. I've done it many times already. I've done it like 10, 15 times at least. And I've done more than 20 games, even with double experience. I didn't have all double experience.
So that's all the evidence you need that Victim is OP.
Well, some situations with Victim are OP like that. Like,
yeah, niche scenario. Usually when you're playing against an Ana and a Leland, what do you want to do? You want to get them to proc their ults as soon as possible so they can't use it in a scenario like that. Is it frustrating for an Ana to run out gate like that? Of course it is. But it's also your job as family to pressure and route around the map to get them to use all their second chances, use all their perks, so they don't have anything to fall back on. It's like in DBD. You want somebody to use their dead hard as soon as possible. You want them to use DS so they can't use it later in the game. You want them to use all their second chance perks so they have nothing to rely on. Use all the pallets on the map. They're in dead zones. They got nothing left. But if everything is still standing by the end of the game, of course it's going to look like an easy win because they have everything to fall back on. And there was not enough job done to pressure them to remove their second chance perks. If somebody has no cell by the end of the game, they either were hiding or they were not being pressured nearly enough. Because no cell should not last till the end of the game. It should be gone within the first few minutes.
Okay, the thing I just don't understand is so you said that it's not bad that the game's turning more competitive, right?
Yes.
But in your TLDR, you said TCM balance is slowly turning more competitive and metas are arising with every patch. Families becoming stronger each update due to the community's constant complaining about unnecessary changes.
Yes.
But like, what was an unnecessary change that they made? Just the stun resist? Like that one? That's too long.
This is like the 3rd time you've brought up unnecessary changes. I don't want to be talking in circles.
Okay, so what would you want to talk about then? You keep making me have to be in charge of it. I'll give you a chance.
That's not true at all. I basically like started going on a monologue with this this debate. It'd be very unfair to say that you've
wanted me to choose the topic since the beginning.
Well, because you're the one who invited me on it. I didn't invite you to change the topic.
You messaged me on Twitch.
I've talked. Yeah, but you invited me to be on the debate. It's not I wanted so badly to be on this debate. You're the one who proposed it after making a very rage bait inducing YouTube video. It was a bad video. It wasn't good. Like, if you want, I can go back through like all my other notes with timestamps and I can look at this.
If there's something you want to address, I'm down to listen.
Okay, I'll look real quick. Oh yeah, at 7 minutes and 20 seconds. You said that my quote take on the game being a masterpiece was really bad. And
could you explain that? Could you explain that? The masterpiece thing?
Yeah, can I explain? It was a masterpiece in fun. It was a masterpiece in popularity. Okay. When a game releases, like I said earlier, they're gonna find ways to get everything optimized to the maximum efficiency to find the best way to play possible. At the release of a game where everybody is shit and doesn't know what they're doing, it's going to be a lot more fun because guess what? Nobody knows how to optimize that shit yet. And I wanted to go back, and when I said bounce back is not used to convey that I want everything to go back to the way it was. That's not at all what that means. You're looking for the word revert changes. I said bounce back. That is usually, in that context, used to get better over time, to come back, okay, get healthier. That is the game state, that is the player base, not the original state of development. So when I say bounce back, I'm not saying let's revert any change, because that also makes no sense when you look at the rest of the post when I'm saying how many other changes we need to do going forward and keep the changes that we have already because they're really good. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, the thing is, I agree that it was practically a masterpiece. That's what I was talking about in that video, if that's what you wanted. I was saying, how is it a masterpiece? There's so many problems. Just because people don't know what they're doing yet doesn't make it a masterpiece. That's why every ASIM could be fun in the beginning, you know, because no one realizes how busted shit is. But the game at a whole, at a core, was not balanced, even since the tech test. You know, no stun
But
resist.
you're also arguing semantics when it comes to me saying masterpiece. Like, I just love the game. I'm really passionate about it. I don't think every word I say should be like everybody should be on the edge of their seat and I'm some omniscient god with Einstein level intellect. I don't think that. I don't think that at all. When I say something's a masterpiece, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm really passionate about this. This is awesome. Do I think it was really good on release? Yeah, I was addicted to it. I thought the game was going to be shit when I saw teasers. I thought it was going to be clunky as hell. I thought it was going to be terrible, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. I've never been so addicted to a game in many years as I was TCM. So I think it was pretty fair for me to call it a masterpiece because I really, really, really loved it. And when the players started to dwindle and my friends stopped playing the game as much, and I'm left to solo queue, it makes me very nostalgic of the months ago where we played and we would have such a good time. I think that era was a masterpiece in the game. Nobody knew what they were doing. Nobody was complaining. Nobody was necessarily having a bad time. And I think it was peak TCM. I really think it was. Everybody had mics in lobbies too. That was also peak. I love
Well,
that era.
I agree that the first week of like any, like I was saying, like any ASIM can be fun, but I don't think that reflects how good the game is necessarily right away. You know what I mean? Like, because when people, that's why the game started drop. I mean, the crossplay thing definitely, but there's a lot of reasons the player base keeps dropping even today, even after a recent DLC. It's because people
Yeah, that's what I talked about in my post.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like the thing is that it wasn't a masterpiece to start with. It had a lot of they had to do rapid patches, 4 rapid patches in a row to fix things. Like they were desperately trying to play catch up because it wasn't a masterpiece. It had so many problems, and as people realized that the player base dropped quick, even before like majorly for the crossplay. Like it was starting to drop already. That's my point. Like it wasn't as good then, so I didn't want to like thinking that it's a masterpiece because there's a lot of players isn't true. Project Playtime is absolute dog shit. It wasn't on release, but it had 20,000 players.
That game was never going to work.
Right, but it had 20,000 players though. It had 20,000 players the first week. It dropped real quick, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
but TCM held way, way stronger. It was a way more established license. I didn't even play Project Playtime. I wanted to, but like I never really got into it. It wasn't that interesting to me. The thing is that when it comes to these semantics, I don't think it matters nearly as much. You didn't really offer any suggestions in that video at all. You offered the banking XP, but that's it. You don't really have anything else.
Well, I did. I've made other videos. That's why I didn't want to I wanted to talk about you in that video.
But it is your responsibility to convey your thoughts in that video. Because if you were to say, if you're trying to prove me wrong, it is not the viewer's responsibility to go look at your past opinions. You have to convey your thoughts. It's like if somebody made a revealing video or like expose somebody, right? For bad behavior, for example. You wouldn't say, go watch my other videos. Go watch my videos for my opinions on all this topic, or you're just gonna have to like trust me. You're gonna want to talk about it. You're gonna want to give your actual thoughts and opinions. You can't just be like, all right, go. You didn't even say go and watch my other videos. You said that in your Twitch VOD. You didn't even say that in the video. It's not the viewer's responsibility to go check and make sure that you did your due diligence and reviewed all these topics on their own. It's your responsibility to make sure your thoughts, opinions, suggestions are conveyed properly, not mine.
Okay, I mean, well, if you wanted me to make more suggestions, I have them, but I mean, I just didn't make them in that video. Okay, one other suggestion was that the skill trees need to be changed. Like right now, the abilities, star signs.
Oh,
well, no, the star sign, the star sign. Sorry, my bad. The star sign, like the 3 things, the 3 levels you can take on it. Like, for example, like most case, like I'll say, even Hitchhiker, you're basically gonna take the bleed every time, right? There's no reason to not take that for your other 2 choices, or even Danny, you'd only take the instant study. The other 2 ones are just highlighting shit or some useless shit. So a lot of them don't change the play style of the character, and I was saying that they need to rework it so that there is something that makes it feel totally different to play the character. There need to be 3 different unique ways to play each character to make it less stale. And right now, it's just like a better or worse way to basically play the same. That was another, and I'd gone into that more, but that was like basically the idea was that the star signs need a rework. It needs to feel totally different when the way you can play a character for each character, that way, and that way it could feel more viable, more fun, more, creativity with strategy.
Okay, that's not a bad idea, but like, how would you, for example, like in regard to my points, how would you fix lobby dodging?
Well, it depends on why they're dodging. So, like, if they're dodging because, let's say, we're both in the mood to play Leland, there is no fixing that in a game like this, I don't think. Like, in a one-character pick game, if we both just ultimately feel like playing that character and we can't, then someone's going to leave. Like, that's just how it's going to... That's the consequence of making a game like this. I don't think
you don't think there is any solution whatsoever to that?
Not for that situation, no. I don't think there's any... the best solution they could try to do is make all the characters feel more fun and viable, so then you wouldn't care if you want to play, like, Sunny or something, but... If you're just not in the mood to do it, you want to play Leland, I don't see how they can force a player or get them to play it.
Well, what about the rest of lobby dodging? Is that it?
There's other reasons. Like, people dodge if you play Sissy on your team or Johnny sometimes. They might dodge because they see that character. They might dodge because somebody's character level. You can't see their account level, but you can see their character level. They have no stats, like they're level 1 or 2 or something. So, they have no attributes. Or the people could dodge because of that. People could dodge. I've dodged with my team if we see low level, like character level 0, victims. We're not going to play noobs, so we'll dodge that.
That's a lie, because I remember I saw 2 days ago when you were trying to level up your characters.
On victim, yeah.
Yeah, you said, and I quote, paraphrasing obviously, you said, "Oh, I want those family players who have numbers in their names at level 0. Got to be farming XP as much as possible."
Yeah, that wasn't with my team though. That was just me playing with some viewers trying to level up.
But you dodge a lot, and that's another point, is that you're kind of adding to the dodging problem yourself by dodging for any and all reasons, and you don't experience. And I think a big reason for that is because since you don't play victim, like at all. You don't know how bad the dodging situation is. For family, you can just dodge and then just go next and get another lobby in 5 seconds. On victim, you have a reset lobby. Sorry, back to you for 3 minutes, and that next lobby might not even work out for you. You dodging is directly adding to the problem.
Okay, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Because like you say, the game's family sided, right? Is that your?
What does this have to do with?
I'll get there. You're saying it's family sided, right? Why is it so? Why is it that victims don't want to queue up in a family sided game? Like, why is it hard to find family members? Family members, not victims. Why are family members hard to find for victims in lobbies? Why are the victim lobbies so much longer in a family sided game?
They want to play that side. It's the same in DBD. It's a 4v1, and obviously it's not a 4v3. There's more family members, than on DBD, but it's also a 3v4. There's going to be more players on victim side because it's statistically a larger number.
So you don't think it has to do with them people not wanting to play family?
I'm sure that's like partly, like that's any game though. That's,
yeah, but like why? So you think they just don't want to play because of preference, not because it feels, specifically unfun?
I'm sure some people think that it's not fun and that some of it's unbalanced. Like I know Tony, for example, Tony the Duff, a good buddy of mine. He doesn't play family at all. It's not that he thinks that victim is OP or family is OP. He just doesn't like family. He just doesn't enjoy playing it. And for the first week of the game, I didn't enjoy playing family either. I hated it. And then I played Leatherface. And then I tried Sissy. Then I tried Hitch. And then I tried Cook. And I enjoyed all of them except for Johnny, because Johnny is fucking annoying. And I started to really like family. My point is that people will not play a certain side for all sorts of reasons. I think to be like, well, this queue is longer than the other, that means that this side is broken. Like, I don't think that's a very good argument. I don't think it is. Just because there's more players playing a certain thing doesn't mean one is inherently stronger than the other. I think it's all comes down to balance, like opinions, subjective feelings about one side. And I'm sure, again, some people will be like, well, this side's broken, so I don't want to play against it. But that's not everybody.
That's true, but I've had a lot of people have even told me if I see, like, ever since Danny came out, they refuse to play family because it just feels like you're going to lose almost every game.
And that's fine too, but I think Danny should be left out of the conversation entirely because we both agree he's busted. So I don't think he should factor in to victim balance because he is one character, not the entire cast.
I know, but like he's in every game now. That's why I feel like we can't ignore him. He's in every single match almost.
That's why you nerf him.
Well, I agree.
You don't nerf victims, you nerf him.
Well, you nerf him, but I mentioned the other thing, like that infinite situation. Like some unfair situations should probably be addressed somehow in some way. There should be more counterplay.
That's fine. They shouldn't. We already talked about that. I said that the barricade, that RNG spawn shouldn't happen. So again, we're talking in circles. It doesn't really make any sense. What I'll ask you, is you also, you know what? Hold up. I'm gonna take a pause. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Okay, no problem, man.
I need to use the restroom. I will say, so I don't forget, what I'm trying to say is, I'm looking at my notes.
What's up, guys? Sorry, I haven't been reading the chat. I'm
You
just
brought
focused.
up like a lot of random encounters, and you were being very, I guess, you were subtly jabbing me, I'll say, throughout the stream.
I was.
While at the same time saying you wanted a dialogue, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna touch on that when I'm back.
All right. Well, this is going longer than I thought. I'm surprised he's still here. But I'll say this much: I'm not doing the best job, I know. Like, but I want to let him talk. You know, like I know I could try to be more aggressive. I want to give him a chance to talk though. But I mean, him just saying my video is bad, that's fine. I don't really care. But the thing is, like, you know, it's a lot of his stances and stuff. Like, I feel like he's just refusing to admit that, you know, there's probably a link between people not wanting to play a certain side and it feeling unfair and unfun. I mean, he's right that it could be all sorts of reasons. It can come down to preference, you know, or just what someone's in the mood for. You know, there's reasons you can't know, right? And, you know, maybe they have too many friends on, so they can only play victim, etc. You know, to not leave somebody out. But like, what are the odds when there's so many threads on Reddit and everything showing that? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? That like people are just not having fun playing family. It's like Evil Dead with Demon.
Okay, so as I was saying, you were being like, I feel like if we leveled here, you were being like very disingenuous the past few days because you were like saying, "Oh yeah, I want an open dialogue, I want an open debate." But any chance you could, you would just start shit talking me, even to randoms in a lobby, which is going to be really weird. Like, that's OD. Even you should be able to admit that that's OD, and that's pretty disingenuous.
I mean, I was just telling them it's a family-sided game according to RapidMain. Like, why isn't anyone
And you think
playing?
that's productive? You think it's productive to
I mean, I thought it was funny.
shit talk and being passive aggressive? Yeah, but you see my point. Like, I can give you the clips too.
I know what you're talking about.
5 minutes. No, listen, I was surprised because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna level with you. This is embarrassing. This is pretty embarrassing to like say that you want to have an open dialogue, you want to chat. RapidMain's such a nice guy, but any chance
I didn't say he's a nice guy. What the
shit
fuck?
talk me, whether you think it's funny or not, or you're making a comment, you're shit talking, being passive aggressive, and making subtle jabs. And I can give you every clip it is. It was, I was surprised because I found these within like 5 minutes of each other.
I'm surprised he even looked into my stuff that much. I'm actually
5,
surprised.
6, 7, 8. I have 13 clips of you just
he made 13 clips.
Jabbing
what the fuck?
In random lobbies for no reason. And I just thought that was kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it doesn't make much sense to be on one hand, you know, no offense, this guy's a dumbass, but I want to have a great debate. But look how much of an idiot this guy is. That makes no sense. And I feel I'd really hope that you wouldn't like do that going forward with other people because it will bite you in the ass. Like, people won't want to talk to you. And that's fine. You don't have to talk to other people. But the way you carry yourself and the way you handle yourself is with a huge level of arrogance. And you won't get anywhere with that because nobody will want to talk to you. And I'm just trying to be as respectful, as honest as possible. Because if I lie straight to your face, there's no point in talking. I'm not going to lie to your face. I'm not going to, in your words, I'm not going to kiss your ass. I'm going to be honest, but respectful at the same time. I'm not going to call you names. But you were acting stupid. Like even in this clip, I will send this one to you. I thought this was kind of yikes. I'm not gonna lie. I'll send you this clip so you can show your stream if you want.
Okay, yeah, sure.
This was, and I know I can tell you're probably grinning from your camera and you think this is all funny, and that's fine. You can think that this is all funny.
Camera? What the fuck?
But the way you carry yourself is just kind of bad. It's kind of bad. And I'll show my stream right now as well. This was not a good clip.
I'll show it too. Just give me 1 second. I'm sorry, when you're ready, I'll show it. I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's fine. You can mute me for a second if you want to listen to it because I thought this clip is kind of bad.
Well, I don't want to mute you. I was just letting you know. I'll try watching it now. Yeah, I'm gonna turn into a UT. I mean, I don't really mind. I don't really care if he sees it or not. But oops, I already know what he's gonna say. He's gonna say, "Bro, you're taking me out of context."
He
I
did.
already
I'm
can
Nostradamus.
predict
He did.
how he'd react to that. He's gonna
I was so
slowly
right.
pause.
I didn't even know I said that.
react,
So you
like,
start
bro,
mocking me
bro.
for what you think
Like-
I'm going to say, which was really shocking. And the reason why I think this is such a bad clip to look at, because you know what this says to me? It almost says there an argument could be said that you purposely misunderstood everything just to make the video, just to misunderstand me. Because guess what? The way you said, I think he's going to react like this. I think he's going to respond like this. You knew how I was going to respond because
But
you
didn't
knew
you?
what you were doing.
Didn't you respond like that? You said I was taking stuff by semantics out of like I thought you were saying that kind of stuff. Like I was focused on the wrong thing. I was
No, you're not understanding. You literally predicted. You knew what you were doing.
I did.
You predicted.
I feel like
You
this.
predicted
Am I wrong?
what I was going to say because you knew what you were doing. You were rage baiting. You were lying. You were twisting words because you knew everything. You knew what you were going to do. That's what this clip tells me. Because you're like, oh, he's going to
can't
stumble on
say
his words. You're going to
that.
say you're taking me out of context, which you did. You did many times through that.
But he
And
said.
it tells me that
But
this
you're
is
saying
like,
it now. You're saying that I did that, so I was right. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I predicted correctly then.
because you purposely, you're proving my point. You purposely misunderstood everything I said so you could make a video, so you could react.
I didn't do
So
it on
you did
purpose.
take
I
out- you
no,
did
I
take
did
everything
not
out of
purposely. I did not purposely
Then what is this?
misunderstand you.
Then explain the clip. Then explain the clip.
That I predicted you say I took it out of context. 'Cause I thought you would, and you did. So I didn't set up some
This is a
grand
bad clip.
plan. I didn't set up some
This is a
grand
bad
plan to
clip.
purposely misunderstand you. And if I did at some points, like I could see how I did at some points, then I apologize for that. I wasn't trying to purposely misunderstand you. That's not what my goal
You
was.
see how this clip looks. It looks bad. It looks bad. Because you dead
I don't
on
think it looks- I think I was right.
predicting what I was going to say shows that you knew what you were doing.
I mean, I feel like it shows more that I understand you a little better. I don't know, like than like purposely some conspiracy. I wasn't trying to purposely misunderstand you at all. That wasn't my goal.
I don't know. I feel like that's a hard one to argue.
The truth
I
is,
don't
I
know.
was afraid because I saw it getting a lot of upvotes, and I saw that a dev quickly responded to it. It made me afraid, with Danny coming out and everything, that if they took some of these suggestions, and I'm not being a dick, like if they took some of the suggestions, the game health would go way down. Like if there was 3-second stun immunity, that would open so many more problems, especially at high level play. It'd be so not fun. It would all revolve around stuns even more. You know what I mean? That would feel like very little counterplay that you'd
But
have.
you've offered 2 suggestions. 2. Over the entire essay that I wrote and saying, well, if any of these changes get implemented, then I'm fearful that the game will decline. The game's already declining. There's nothing that a suggestion can hurt the game at this point. At this current state, my suggestions are not going to hurt the game because the game's already going downhill. It's declining in player count. The best thing that this game can get right now is suggestions. You gave no suggestions in your video. You didn't give anything. So you going, well, this is bad. This is going to hurt the game makes no sense.
Well, the thing is,
Because if the game, well, hold on. If the game's never going to evolve, if the game will never evolve, never change, never push the envelope, then people will lose interest. The game will die off and nobody will play it anymore. Because if you want to stay comfortable, hold on, I'm almost done. If you want to stay comfortable and never change anything, people won't give a shit. All right, now you can go.
Okay, I agree that you're saying it's going downhill. Like, yes, it is. I agree. I'm not arguing with that. But the saying that you're not no suggestion, I'm not saying like you exactly said this, but like that suggestions can't really hurt the game any more than it's already going downhill. I thought the same thing before Danny came out. I thought the same thing as you. And then Danny came out and I was astonished that even somehow got past testing. No, I know it, but I'm just saying like just because you think it can't get worse doesn't mean that the devs can't, implement something that makes it worse, like Danny. That was my point. Like that it could get worse though, is what I'm saying. Like when Danny came out, I was shocked that they could even somehow release that and then not immediately kill switch it or something. Like that's, what I mean? Like that's such a bad state. So I feel like it could get worse. Who knows what they might do next? That's the way I was looking at it.
The issue though is that many of my suggestions were not about necessarily balancing. I had many balancing suggestions, but I think the most important ones are quality of life. And you glossed over them like they meant nothing. The devs will never implement it. They're too lazy. That will cost too much networking. And I also think that's really short-sighted because especially like you can have your own opinion about me like with balancing, like that's fine, whatever, that's subjective. But quality of life, like I feel like that should be even more up to an interpretation of like free form suggestions because that's not balancing. That's just quality of life of how the game works. The biggest issue is getting into a game, getting into a lobby, and actually being put in the match. You know, like for example, you could also have a a thing where it becomes like you go into Overwatch, you go into Siege, um, and you get inside the match, then you pick your characters. People will insta lock. As annoying that might be, that's a way to fix dodging. Make it so people can't dodge a game because when they queue up, they are going into a match, not a lobby, into a match to pick a character. That's another suggestion that I genuinely think could work. Yeah, people might dodge sometimes to that, but like it's better than just being like, well, I'm afraid that these changes aren't going to do anything and it's going to make a game worse. In quality of life situations, I think more suggestions the better, honestly, because it's not balancing. It's different.
Well, if they did what you're saying, like you join the match directly, if people did dodge that, that would make it so even worse to me because then you would be out a teammate. If you're out a family teammate, it's just over, like period. Like and it's probably over for victim too. But like you know what I mean? Like, who wants to play a match at such a disadvantage because someone now realized, oh, I don't want to play this character or this map or something. I'm leaving, and they leave. You know what I mean? The game,
But
the match.
why
like,
not experiment at all?
I'd
Why
rather,
are
I'd
we
rather
so
that
afraid of
before. I'd rather that
experimenting?
happen in the lobby than the game is what I'm saying. Like than the match.
But why are we so afraid of experimenting?
Well, because why would you want to wait till that happens when the devs, are, like you've said, are already too slow at like doing updates and stuff? That if that sits like that for weeks, you know, that would really suck. Like that'd
In
be.
a perfect world, I'd love for them to test it for a week and take it out if it's shit.
Well, I
But
agree with
like
you. I agree with you on that. Yeah, they could test it. If they had a
exactly.
test
So
server to test stuff, I would not be against that. Any idea, to be honest.
exactly. So I don't know where we disagree with this. Like if the devs are too slow and that's a reason why you think these changes would be bad because if you put in place for too long, I think that's a bad argument. We should have the thought of, okay, they're experimenting. This probably won't be in the game for longer than a week or a test server where this won't impact any legit games. I don't think having the idea of, well, the devs are too slow to remove this change if it's bad, so we shouldn't do it at all is like, that's a bad argument.
If
It
you had
just
the
is.
idea of the test server, I would have totally agreed with that. A test server, I just don't think they have the player base or resources to do it. But if they did it, if they did do it, right, I would totally be fine with testing stuff like yeah, any crazy idea or even good idea, bad idea, whatever crazy like that way and trying it out. I would not be against that at all. It's just because of how slow, like I've said, they've been. Like I know you're saying it's a bad argument, but like they'll put something in, like I don't know, Danny, and then go on vacation for 2 weeks in the middle of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm afraid of that. Like I don't want to test something that's probably going to be bad. If you had a test server though, like you're saying, I would do that. That I agree with. But if like putting it just into the actual game like this with these suggestions, that's why I was like so against it and afraid that they might do something like that.
I think that fear is just, again, it's short sighted. You shouldn't be thinking, well, they're never going to take it out. Like, it should be, let's experiment. If it doesn't go well, okay, community will rally behind removing it.
Yeah, but in the meantime, the player base is going to die even more than if it's bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at
Okay,
Danny.
well, it's going to die anyway if nothing's changed.
Well, I agree with you. I
So
just didn't think your
so
changes were the right ones.
you're picking like two evils of either they don't change anything and people become disinterested and stop playing, or they change something and people don't like it and they become disinterested and stop playing. The best thing you could do possibly is try to change something and make people like it and enjoy it. That is the best outcome. Because if you don't do anything, people leave. If you make something bad, people leave. Make something good. Obviously, forehead of just do it. But yes, you have to do it. Like experimentation changes is the only way to push a game forward. If you just sit there and be like, well, this might kill it, then we're not going to get anywhere. It happens all the time in balancing in other games as well. TCM is no exception.
Well, I can agree with you there. The change definitely does have to happen. I just didn't think your changes would be good, you know, and I was giving reasons why I didn't think they'd be good. Like if you had two Lelands that are weaker, for example, like I said, like I'll just dodge if I don't want to be the weaker one, so that wouldn't solve
Yeah,
it.
but you still gave no suggestions. That's the issue.
But I'm saying
still
like,
what I'm
but
looking
we're
at.
saving ourselves time than putting that in the game, seeing it like, you know what they did once, the devs did once. I'm sure you remember they made it so you can start a lobby with 3v3 or 2v4, and no one would play those games unless they didn't realize that was happening. Like
Yeah,
they
I
wouldn't.
never played a game of that.
Right, right,
With Dodge before.
right, and that was a really dumb decision just to try to get
Mhm.
people into a game.
And it was
so like,
removed pretty damn quickly too.
it was like it was like 1 or 2 weeks. I agree with that. Yes, it wasn't that long that it was
Yeah,
in.
so
But
why should we, if That is literal case in point. If they can remove bad changes quickly, why should we be afraid of experimenting?
Because that was a bad change that didn't like directly impact you as much as like having two
It did.
Lelands in the
It
match
quite
would.
literally did. A
You
2v4
didn't have
on
to start
family
that though.
side
You
would
could.
make you lose every game.
Yes, but you didn't have
without
to.
a
Most
doubt.
people wouldn't start those matches. They would see the queue getting down and only two people.
But it did impact you if you went into that game. That's the point.
Right, but I never even saw people ready up for that kind of game. They would always back out. No one did. Like
but you're missing
very
the
few
point,
people would do
like-
that.
You're missing the point. Your example you gave is a literal point of something that they changed after the community said this is shit. Let's not do it. So why do we have to continue to be like fearful? If they make such a bad change that people want them to revert, why should we be fearful and just be like, well, game's dead, you know, like let's wait for them to change it. Yes, they're slow as shit, and I'm annoyed at that they're slow as hell. But like I also respect that like game
It's going for
development
a
ain't
while.
easy.
It's like 2 hours
I
worth
don't
of
know what the
shit.
fuck I have to do with that. Like I've tried coding before. That shit's not easy. Does that give them every excuse under the sun to be slow and make bad decisions? Of course not. But they can't. Hindsight's 2020. They can't see everything into the future about balance changes. The best thing we can do is give suggestions and give feedback to terrible changes, so they can be like, "This probably won't work in the future. Let's not implement that at all." I don't think giving the benefit of the doubt either like that is kissing the dev's ass. I think
Well,
that's just like that's another. It's the same way of like it's the same way of like looking up to somebody. Like I really like that guy. I think he's really chill. But you put him on a pedestal. You shouldn't put the devs on a pedestal. They are real people too, working 9 to 5s, regular jobs.
what is
And
it? What is this
sometimes they
tangent?
fuck up. Normal people fuck up at their jobs all the time. It happens. They're not going to be perfect. Is that a all-encompassing point of let's just let the devs do whatever they want? No, of course not. But again, thinking that every decision made right off the bat is going to be perfect is not a good point of view. But it happens, and I say that being self-aware enough to know that this shit happens in
And he
every
really
game.
good.
People curse the devs of every video game imaginable. But being afraid of the devs' decisions to experiment is not going to get us anywhere.
Right. I mean, I just thought the experiment, like, we're saving a lot of time and pain if we don't do some ideas that are not going to work. That was my point.
So, do you agree with me? Can we at least agree on something and move on?
Yes. That if you agree, the point is that, like, you know, they need to change something for sure. You know, like, I agree with that. Yes.
Okay. Whatever. I will say also, you used a couple like you brought up how I went against certain teams in VODs, which was never played. You said I played with Swirty, which was Swart. Obviously, not a big deal. Not the correct name, but obviously not a big deal. That match, you must be getting confused with something else because I have not played with Swart in months.
That was from months ago I was referring to.
You said a few days ago.
No, I said months ago.
Go back in the video.
If I said days, I was mistaken, but I could go back. I meant
okay, then you were mistaken.
Yeah, I was mistaken.
It was the timestamp is 1835.
I will actually check that. We'll find that.
And saying that I stopped playing TCM and I ran back to DBD as soon as TCM started dwindling is also a really bad argument. Because one, even if that were true, bad argument.
Where is that?
Two, it's not even true. If you look at my streaming hours, you would see that I mostly played TCM lately. I play DBD every now and then, maybe like 2 hours a stream. For the most part, for the past few months, I've been doing 3-4 hours, like every day on TCM. So saying, oh, he ran back to DBD, it's really disingenuous to disprove me. And at the same time, it's not even right. It's not even right. You say I didn't do any research. If you just looked on stream analytics
going back to this again.
for 5 seconds, you'd see that you're wrong.
So you
did you at least admit that too?
Well, you didn't take a break for months though from the game?
No.
From TCM, you didn't take a break for months?
No. Go back through my streaming hours. You can do it right now. Go for it.
No, I'll look into it. But I'm just saying, I thought you took at least over a month off. I mean, I don't know. I thought you did off TCM. I mean,
not really.
If I was mistaken, I'm sorry.
Games.
If I said a few days ago, I meant a few months ago, and I was wrong. I'll take the L on that. I meant a few months ago. It was a match on Slaughterhouse, I remember, and I remember it was like before you took a break. I don't know how long that break was.
You should probably link it though. Like when you make a point like that,
Yeah, but
it
the
sounded
VODs
more
don't.
like
The VODs
trust me,
don't.
bro.
The VODs don't last like more than 2 months. I think that's why.
Well,
So
then
I couldn't.
you shouldn't be using it as evidence. If you don't have it, then you shouldn't be using it.
But I mean, it happened though. I mean, but I guess you're right.
But if you can't prove that it happened,
Are
you should
you are you
not be
are you
using it as
saying it didn't
evidence.
happen? Is that what you're telling me? Like that game never happened?
I don't know what game you're talking about. Is what I'm saying. Like I've played like thousands of.
I remember
maybe
they
not
were okay.
thousands of
I
games.
don't know if this will bring it up, but I remember they were in the lobby shit talking. They were saying, "We out this bitch. We out." I remember them saying that. We
I've
out
done
this
a lot of shit talking in TCM. You'd
Well,
have
not
to
you,
be
not
way
not
more
you, not you,
specific.
not you. Them. They were saying that to you guys because they were
I've
the
dealt
victim.
with a lot of shit talkers. Again, you'd have to be way more specific. Saying something happened 3 months ago and not giving a clip, it might have happened. It could totally have happened. But it would be like walking in a court of law and say, Your Honor, my client, or the prosecution claims that the defendant did this action, and it was caught on CCTV footage that he was walking outside the nightclub. Can we see the footage? Oh, well, it expired a few months ago. But you're going to have to trust me. If you don't have it, don't use it.
All right, if
Because
you don't,
then it's not evidence.
all right, you're right. I can't prove it happened. You're right.
Exactly. Okay, well, I'm glad that you listened at that. Oh yeah, big point. I think it is laughable that you think that, and without being disrespectful at all, I do think it is
How is it
laughable
not
that you think that the Bubba exploit is a tech.
But it is.
That is crazy, in my opinion. I don't think you're crazy. I think it is a crazy opinion. Don't let it get it twisted.
Okay, well, I can say one thing about that. So what do you think about when you overhead slam a victim, and if they interact with any item or door, they're instantly out of the stun? They cancel their stun from that. You think that's fair?
I think you're more so talking about iframes with hiding spots.
No, not that. Well, that's another thing. But I was talking about like even if you grab a health item or something, like you get out of the overhead stun from a hit. It's instantly out of the stun.
I've never seen that.
That's how it
If
works.
you pick up
close
something,
the door.
if you pick up something, you do not avoid it. You skip the animation, but you don't avoid the overhead. You still get hit.
No, I'm saying after you got overheaded, you'll get out instantly. If you close the door, pick up an item, anything with interact, you get out of that stun as victim. Like instead of having to wait the whole duration.
That's a little janky, sure, and maybe that could be impacted a little bit, but like, I don't think the Bubba tech. You say it's the tech. I think that's way OD because what should be a 6-8 second stun for the animation on the door, you literally picking yourself back up within 1 second is like actually disgustingly broken because you have stun immunity too with that you can get back up and still be unstunnable. And on top of that, you can also avoid getting stunned in the first place. I've seen it many times.
True.
Where people will run through a door. I will get the notification. I will get the points. Slam awarded. They will not be stunned. If they use this so-called tech correctly, it is wild. It is not a tech and it's exploit. And it makes me think, I saw a clip as well that do you think the Valve tech is a tech or an exploit?
Well, I think it was a good tech at the time. It's gone now.
No. Do you think it is a tech or an exploit?
I mean, you're definitely doing an unintended thing in the game, so you're probably exploiting. But it was a tech at the time.
At least you can admit it because that shit was broken. Like, sure, whatever. It may be hard to turn off Valve, but instantly turning it off by abusing in-game mechanics that they have patched out multiple times is also not very good.
What is this train that shit's going on? But what do you think about victims getting out of the overhead stun? That could change. That could be the difference in them dying or not.
Well, you just asked me that. I said, yeah, it's a little janky, and they could change that a little bit. But again, I don't think it's anywhere comparable to avoiding a built-in stun.
Both things are avoiding a stun, though. Both things are avoiding a stun that could change the game.
One is a 1-2 second stun. One is a 6-8 second stun, and one person has stun immunity after it.
True.
The victim doesn't get stun immunity from anything.
But it changes the game, though. Like, if you could have gotten extra hit because they had to do that whole duration, that's the difference.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. You're trying to disagree with me. I'm saying, yes, it's janky. Yes, they could fix that, but I don't think it's comparable. I don't think it's, like, nearly as comparable as the other two. One is instantly shutting off Valve. The other one is granting yourself stun immunity while not even getting stunned. And the third one is, well, they pick themselves up a tiny bit faster, like a half second faster because they picked up an object. Yes, that's janky. Yes, they shouldn't be able to do that. But it is not nearly as broken as the other two. So I don't know where.
Well, I don't know why we're bringing up the Valve anyway, because they took it out, so you can't do that anymore. So I feel like that's not an issue.
It's because I'm looking at my notes and what I'm trying to go over, so it's not a pointless discussion. So I at least have other things to talk about. I'm looking through right now. If you want to ask me something while I'm looking through, you can. Oh yeah, you also kept like saying that I was spinning some political shit, which also I thought that was kind of weird. That was kind of weird to say.
Oh, the us versus them?
How are we gonna make that like political? I feel like that's a little.
Well, I just
It's
feel
video
like I feel like
games.
that's
It's video
I
games,
just
not a debate
I mean,
stage.
yeah, I just didn't know why you were writing that in because like that's always gonna be a thing. Like,
But if you read it, you'd know why I write it.
well, you're saying people only balance around people that complain,
That's not what
but
I said. I said the place they take most of their suggestions is a subreddit. So if most of the people are complaining about certain aspects, and even you can admit this, the subreddit is a family main subreddit, majority. And people in real time have made nerf victim posts. They get fucking Reddit gold. They get upvotes to oblivion, right? And when you say nerf family, oh my god, the backlash I've seen is insane. And if you don't believe me, you can go look yourself. Like go search by the oldest post. That shit happened like every other day. When the game was coming out like a few weeks after. It was insane. Um so if you just read like my post, you understand what I'm saying. You also said like when another point of you like misunderstanding shit. When I was talking about bone chines and doors with sound following you, I was not talking about removing sound for nuggets, bone shards, hiding spots. You like completely misinterpreted what I was
I'm
saying.
gonna
I was
find
talking
that
about selectively door slams
because
and
he said
not
only.
bone shards, but bone chimes. And the reason why that doesn't make any sense is because what would Nugget do? If you don't get noise for Nugget, then what is the point of Nugget? Would he just be removed from the map? Like that mischaracterization
Well,
makes
you said
no
okay. I
sense.
found what you said. You said noise follows victims when slamming doors when it should only be bone chimes. That's
Say that
exactly
again.
what you wrote. You said noise
Say that
follows
again.
victims. Noise follows victims when slamming doors when it should only be bone chimes.
Yeah, but I'm only talking about bone chimes and doors in that breath. It's like context clues. If I'm only talking about two things, it's like the age old meme, right? It's like I love waffles, so you hate pancakes? No, that's a whole different sentence. That's a whole different sentence. That's not what I'm talking
But
about.
you specifically said it should only be bone chimes.
Yes, but did I mention any hiding spots, nuggets, bone shards, any of that? No, I didn't.
No, that's why I mentioned them because I said it should not only be bone
But
chimes where
you
noise
then
follows
using
you.
that to say he does no research, he's an idiot, he's dumbass opinions. You misunderstanding something and then using it to
How am I
credit like
misunderstanding? You said it should only be
because you
bone
did.
chimes.
You verbatim
He
misunderstood
said
what I was
that.
saying.
But I didn't. You literally wrote it should only be bone
In the
chimes.
same breath, I was only talking about bone shards and doors. I did not mention a single other thing. You're being disingenuous.
Yes, because you said only bone chimes. That's why I mentioned the other things. I said other things should have noise following victims, and that's why I made those examples.
But you also hate giving the benefit of the doubt when it comes to like a typo, for example, as well.
How is that a typo?
You don't even want to assume that maybe I meant something else. You're just trying to you misunderstand it, take that, and then use. Well, this is why the rest of this is just makes no sense. Political bullshit. I don't know why he wrote this. I don't know what he means. It doesn't really make much sense. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I feel like that was fair though when you wrote it should only be one thing. That's your words verbatim, and I was just saying it should
Again,
not only be those things.
if you're using context clues, you
What context clues
see what
are
I'm
there?
saying.
You said when it should
I didn't
only be
mention.
bone chimes.
I don't know why you're not. I don't know how you're not understanding this. Like
I don't know how you're
literally,
defending it and just
I
taking the L.
literally, not in a single breath did I mention any of the other objects.
But what does that have to do with anything? You said it should only be one. I'm saying
Yes,
it shouldn't be only one.
Of the two.
Okay, it didn't.
I don't know. I don't
that.
know. What, like you're arguing in circles. Like I didn't mention any of them. Again, like you're, like you're trying so hard to disagree. It makes no sense.
I mean, I'm just saying what you wrote, man. I'm not trying
Like
to
do
disagree.
you agree with me? Do you agree with me?
If you're
Like,
saying
semantics
that,
aside, do you agree with me?
if you're now saying that chickens and other stuff is fine if it makes noise, follow them.
Now saying I never mentioned them because they were a non-discussion point. It's not to save face. It's not to change what I said like you have accused me of doing.
It seems like you are here though. Like you're changing what you're saying. You're putting it now. You're giving like a different
Well,
spin on it.
I'm clarifying extra hard for you. That's not what I was saying, and you really don't want to believe me for some reason, even though it's not even like that big of a deal. It's like, and even when I would make good points, you would still, like, I remember, like, even at, like, when I said all these good changes, fuse box being turned off, good change. Valve being repressurized, good change. And then you go, well, until Danny came out, so obviously you're wrong. You would take anything that you would agree with and spin it some way to disagree. And it's just like, why? Like, I feel like that's so much energy for nothing. If you agree, why not just agree?
Well, I wasn't
Like,
disagreeing that the Valve change is not good. I thought it was. I wasn't talking
well,
about you with Danny.
but your tone, the way you carry yourself, and the things that you say in the exact manner that you do conveys a very different story. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Because if you're carrying an arrogant tone or attitude, then it's not I'm agreeing with you. It's you're really trying not to agree with me, but at the end of the day, you do. You just don't want to admit it.
I mean, I
And
feel like I could say that about you a little bit with how you've been handling some of this.
Well, again, this post was never like made for you. It wasn't. It feels almost like that you feel entitled for me to clarify to you what this post means when it was never about you. Like even some of the
I
unhinged
didn't say it
replies that I
was.
saw in that Reddit thread, none of them misunderstood to the same degree that you have. It's only been you, and that's like no disrespect, but it's only been you that's misunderstood this much.
I feel like other people could also quote misunderstand some of this stuff though, like the only bone like it's
But
not me
nobody
trying
commented
to.
it. Nobody commented like this much misunderstanding. Sure, people would go, I disagree with most of it, or
But even
I understand.
even you said you don't have to comment to be responding to it. People might have responded in different, forms or, media or whatever, like then replying.
But none
like,
on that post, none on that thread where I posted.
well, not in that post, no. But I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure other places they could say that they think the same. I don't know.
Okay, well, I don't have that data. I don't see that. I don't know. It's a non-point. Like, I don't. Where am I supposed to see that data?
I
You also
mean,
said,
my
like,
chat. I don't know. In my VODs.
so you want me to watch through all of your VODs?
You have like 13 clips, dude. I thought you did.
It took me. I told you this, and that's why I said it was embarrassing. It took maybe 5 minutes of skipping around through your VOD to find them. And you know what that means? It means that there's a whole lot more that I missed. That's what I was trying to convey. Which is bad. That's kind of bad. Even when you were saying some wild shit, never did I stoop to like saying some crazy shit like you did. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little weird. You also said like, oh well, he believes that family's OP. Never said that. Never said that Nancy was OP. Never said any XYZ OP. You assume and then you use it like as a weapon, these assumptions. And then you try to take me down with these like misunderstandings, which you have made in your head.
I don't think you think family's OP, but you said the game's family sided. That's what I said.
That doesn't mean OP.
I didn't say it.
It means they're strong. Strong doesn't mean OP. It's like a huge difference.
Well, I'm pretty sure I specifically said family sided a lot. Not if I said OP.
You said
sometimes,
OP many times.
If I did, then that's my fault. I should have meant family sided because that's how I maybe I was interpreting that wrong. I thought you meant that it's the more powerful side.
Okay.
Like it's
fair enough. Another thing was you disagreed with the Johnny Power thing. You kept misunderstanding what I was saying. Yeah, they gave him his lunging back because it was the only thing that made him viable, and he was sure without it. Yeah,
make it constantly running past.
Nobody's disagreeing with that, but that should not be the reason that like he gets that back. They should give him an actual power.
I agree, but they're gonna take it away again. They said already. I mean, I agree with you on that. I agree.
Then why did you disagree with me in the video?
I agreed that you said it should be a constantly running passive. I said that would be too strong.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about giving him an actual power. It doesn't have to be the exact like concept I gave because that was just one that I threw together. Like,
well, I was just saying it's a for now thing that he can lunge. They're gonna take it away. So I mean, it's
okay. Well, you didn't have to disagree with me in the video then. If you literally agree, I see no point in disagreeing for no reason. It just seems like
I disagreed about this.
To disagree if you want to add to the video and like make it so that in your mind it's like fair use. Like, I'm not gonna fucking copy strike you. I don't give a shit. I don't.
How would he copy strike a Reddit post?
If you're saying these things to make sure, like in your mind, that it's transformative enough, again, you're wasting your breath because I don't care to that degree. You're hurting your own credibility and your own points by saying stuff that isn't necessary, doesn't matter, and has no correlation to what I'm saying because you probably think you need to add more to it, which none of it makes sense.
Okay, but the only thing I disagreed on was making it a constantly running passive. I disagree with you. I think that that'd be way too strong.
Again, yes, that's fine, but that wasn't my main point.
All right, but that just to clarify, that's what I was mainly disagreeing with. If I disagreed there, that was what I was disagreeing with.
I'm almost done. Like I almost there's a few more points.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you can go through them real quick. Yeah.
For some reason, you somehow disagreed with me that Nancy is a hybrid of the 3 characters. I don't know how you disagreed with me on that. Like, you started to say that.
I disagreed.
Well,
you said Nancy's way too strong. That's what I disagreed.
I can pull up the timestamp.
You can, but you wrote Nancy's also way too strong.
Exact. 30 minutes exact. Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I
Oh my
said
God, dude.
that you disagreed with me that she was a trio hybrid character. At 30 minutes on the exact timestamp, you said that I was wrong. How am I wrong with that? How is that? That is an objective fact. How am I wrong on that?
Well, my point was that she was not as good as any of them, so why would you take her?
You're answering a different question I haven't asked.
Okay, I don't refer to saying that you're wrong, that she's a hybrid. I said she's worse at everything. I even said that Sissy used to have poison hits, but she doesn't anymore. Now Nancy does with poison claws. She does.
If you walk through a cloud with special blend.
With special blend, but she used to be able to do it without special blend, is what I was saying.
But I wasn't talking about poison hits entirely. I was talking about poison generally. And if you watched my reaction, you would see that she is literally a trio: Hitch, Cook, and Sissy, all in one. I think that's just kind of silly. I don't get it. Like,
I was more disagreeing that she's way too strong. That's where I was going into. I was saying she's worse at this than that. She's worse at Sissy than this. She's worse at Cook than that. If you think she's way too well, if you think she's way too strong, that's what I was disagreeing with, because she's not.
I don't think her base gets strong, like too strong at all. I think it's her perks. That's what I was saying. But you kept like saying that I think she's OP. She's not. Like, her base kit is fine. Her normal perks are fine. It's just pins and needles and poison claws that are fucking stupid as hell. Those are really bad and really stupid. They should not exist. You should not be able to get 7 traps in one game. You should not be able to poison people for 15 seconds in chase to have like built-in rubber legs. That is some of the most frustrating gameplay I've gone against ever. And it is the freest kills.
Well, I agree. I agree about poison claws for sure, and I agree that she shouldn't be able to get like 7 traps. I think it shouldn't even be RNG; it'd be less. But I agree with you. I agree with you about those 2 perks for sure.
Also, I don't know why you skipped over my communication section. You just didn't read it. You just didn't really read it at all.
Well, because I thought the proximity chat was like a pointless thing. Like, why would they? I thought that would be like.
But if you sum up an entire paragraph to pointless or I don't know what he's talking about, then you're not going to understand. Like, you missed like the chat wheel, for example. Like, what do you think about a chat wheel?
Well, the thing is, they don't want that. They don't want you to be able to ping people in any way. They want you to have to communicate. They want you to use your voice in this game. Like,
so you think that because some people don't want to talk, well, we shouldn't have a chat wheel. Even if people don't want to use mics or talk or even talk in text chat. I feel like, if anything, text chat could also be more intrusive and immersion breaking because it's text on your screen. It would be the same thing as a ping. I feel like, if anything, a chat wheel could just be helpful. I don't see that being detrimental at all. Some people don't want to talk on mic, and that's fine. Some people don't own mics.
Well, if you want a text chat wheel, I thought you were referring to the proximity chat thing, like where you said it's going to be toxic interactions.
I'm talking about chat wheel and proximity
text,
chat.
If they're doing quick text, I don't care about that. But any kind of pinging them or voice.
You skipped over in the video. You just completely disregarded it. That's the issue.
All right. Well, I was trying to address it now, and I'm okay with the text chat. I just wouldn't be okay with like pinging them or proximity chat. I don't think would be good.
I think proximity chat would be hilarious. I think that would be a great addition to the game.
I mean, it's not that kind of game though. They want stealth, even though they're horrible at incentivizing it. But like,
well, on Friday there was such a thing as proximity and global chat. So you can use team chat, but also use proximity chat at the same time. That's what that means. Proximity chat is much more different than voice chat. Voice chat is general, team-sided. Proximity chat is talk to the other players. So usually they'd be on different keybinds.
Okay. I mean, I don't like it. If you think that I'm just against you or hate you, I don't. But I just thought some of these ideas were like really quickly put down, and I was afraid seeing this story get a lot of attention. That was my main point. I know I was an asshole about it, and I'm sorry about that. In retrospect, I didn't mean to be as much of an asshole as I was. My point was not trying to tear you down. It was more trying to like be afraid that if devs put some of this in the game, it's just going to hurt the game more. That was honestly my intention behind it. And when I said that I think you're an entertaining streamer, it's true. I mean, I never really said like I don't know you that well. I don't know how nice or great or anything.
But no offense as carrying the video. You could say somebody's opinion is shit 30 times, and then say no offense, it's not gonna do as much as you think it is. It really
That's my
isn't.
true though. The no
'Cause
offense
listen,
is my thing.
do I care about people's opinions to a certain degree? Sure, to a certain degree. Like that's why I watched your video in the first place, because I wanted to hear opinions. But in no way is it productive at all to just write everything off and just like constantly insult, because that's what you did. Let's be forthright. You constantly insulted in that video, and it was not productive at all. At all. It was rage bait, and it seemed like it was made to get a reaction. And you got it. You got my reaction. You did. You got it, because I'm here. But it's like, that's a real bad way of conducting yourself. Like that's pretty bad. Because like, you know, I wanted to give you a chance. And I was like, shit, man, maybe this debate would be interesting. And as enlightening as it's been, I feel like on this matter, you should have just never said anything. Because with all respect due, you still didn't have nearly like any suggestions.
I gave two
Why
of them,
make
and I thought you liked them.
2 of them? 2. Do you think 2 would constitute an entire 36-minute long video?
I mean, I didn't know I had to do a suggestion requirement if I want to make a
Well,
video. I mean,
that's what constructive criticism is. What you did was not constructive. You did the opposite. And I think if you try to contest that, you would be sorely mistaken, because that was not constructive in the slightest.
well, I was just trying to say what I was afraid if it happened to the game. I wasn't necessarily purposely trying to just attack you. It was more like I felt like you did that quick. I felt like you didn't. You know what I mean? Like you took a break from the game for a while. Like I know you had reasons, like you said, your friends stopped playing and stuff like that. But it was like, it was a feeling like you're not really caring about if the game gets torn apart by some of this. That's what I was saying basically, because like you kind of had like these like 2 Lelands or something. To me was insane. Like that. Yeah, I'm just being honest.
The
like
issue is that you made tons of assumptions without yourself doing many research about me, and would claim that me, and then you would like gatekeep the game, basically being like, well, he already quit. He already went back to DVD. And then just mocking me throughout your streams, your chat, laughing. And still, it's crazy how you like it was. I'm still fucking like flabbergasted that it happened that many times, that many clips from a few days ago, in the same breath of I want to have a debate with him, I want to talk to him, but still talking shit to randoms, which is crazy. Because that's just like, that is disingenuous as fuck. That is
I kept saying the game's
embarrassing.
family sided, as RapidMain claims or something like that's
Yeah,
what I
you
said.
think it's funny, and you think you're you're smiling, but the real factor, the real like end of the day thing is that you got upset on a bunch of assumptions that you made in your
I'm not
head.
even upset.
You want to make fun of me to random people? That's fine. But that is an embarrassing way to cope about yourself not having any suggestions yourself.
I
You
had
want the
2,
game to die?
and you liked them.
I had to ask you for 2. They were not in the same video. They were not in the same video. If you don't want to add any suggestions, that's fine. But you should not be having an opinion on other people's opinions if you have no opinion yourself. And it is a bad way to conduct yourself.
I don't even know what he's saying. I had 2, and you liked them.
I'm being generous. I'm being very generous. Could I have roasted you many times over? Abso-fucking-lutely. But like, dude, like the way you carry yourself, the way you invite your chat to like hop in.
I did not
be
invite my
like,
chat to ever hop in and
you
harass you
played
at
with
all.
many randoms. I say randoms as well as people in your chat in those lobbies, okay? And you go, well, RapidMain, family sided XYZ. What do you think? RapidMain is an idiot? You want me to pull that clip up? I can pull it up. Here, I'll pull. You know what? We'll pull it up.
All right,
We'll pull it
I'll
up.
watch
I'll find
it. Yeah.
I'll find it. I'll find it. I'm sorry, it's gonna take me a bit because there's 13 clips to look through.
Listen, I don't mind. The point was that it was more that I was going in games, seeing that it felt obviously not family sided, and that's why I kept making that comment, because like you keep thinking that the game's family sided, where I felt like there's just constant evidence that it's not. You know what I mean? That was the point I was trying to make. Like,
you want to agree then? Let's save the me going through every clip possible. You want to agree that the way that you handled yourself was pretty fucking childish?
I could have done it better. I agree. I could have been more mature. And I'm sorry about that. I could have been more mature.
Okay.
I should have thought about you. I didn't honestly.
Okay.
I wouldn't think that would affect. I didn't even think you'd watch anything. I didn't think that. I didn't think it'd affect you.
You're streaming to a live audience, and of course, like I was told by your viewers that like you were doing this. So like, I feel like it's also naive to be like, well, he'll never see this. Like, sure, if you want to talk shit like behind my back and like off stream, like I can't stop you. I don't care. Like, but I don't care about you shit talking. It's the fact that in the same breath that you want to like high horse and be, I want to have a dialogue. And that's like, I think that's all I got to say. I think that's the last thing I got to say.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm glad that we got a chance to do this. I did want to give you a chance to like expand your points and like, you know, explain them. I didn't want to just like, you know, like you were saying, like take it out of context or something. I wanted to give you a chance to establish any context, you know, and I agree with you on points like the skill. Like, I don't just agree with you on everything. I agree with you about like skill tree loadout thing. I've said that since day one. Yeah, I think Matt Chacha has been stubborn as hell about that for no reason. Like, I completely agree with you with stuff like that. It's just some of the stuff I thought was like the two Lelands and shit, you know, obvious shit like that. I just thought was a little too, you know, much. And like, and when you say it's family sided, you know, like some people have known you from, like you said, like bullying people with the door slams, you know what I mean? So like not caring if they're having fun or not, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of shit looks, I'd admit, say it from my side, that looks bad, because I feel like it should matter if like both sides have a fair chance to have fun. But I don't want to get too into that. But the point is just like, I'm glad that we had a debate. I mean, I understand totally. Probably don't like me, I'm sure, you know what I mean? Like your audience isn't a big fan, but I just want to say, like, I'm glad that we got to talk regardless. I'm glad that we got to try to explain both sides. And I mean, I didn't hate it. I thought it was entertaining at least.
Yeah, it was good. I'd agree.
All right, well, I'm glad we did this, man. And yeah, hope you have a good stream and everything.
Yeah, you too.
I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and all that other stuff that every other guy tells you to do. See you later.